here with Seth Kicklighter. I met you through Brian Demon Racers,
He's the man.
who's a good friend of mine. A little bit strange, but I love the guy.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be a crazy conversation today. I just met you. We're going to be talking about some far out stuff. Why don't you give an overview? I don't even know how to really introduce you.
Yeah, no, my name is Seth Kicklighter. I got a kind of crazy theories here that I learned from experience and from a lot of research compiled in my book, which we'll get to later. Basically, my whole theory is, and it has a lot of extended theories, but ultimately, astral travel, which a lot of people are aware of, is, in my opinion, not real realms. It's not just a regular deception. It's controlled simulations. Like, I'm talking consciousness-based, where you have what claim to be guides, ascended masters, higher selves of people, which are the New Age, Gnostic terms for these things, self-declared as those identities, which Christian viewpoint would be demonic and straight up demons masking as other entities. They create these simulations which have, when I say control, I mean, like, I don't like to use this word, but I'm using godlike control, regretfully, because I'm talking they can control everything around you as if you're in a video game and it's like a VR helmet on you. They can also control your lucidity levels and alternate it. However,
the simulations are real. You think they're just demonic?
They are really happening. It's real experiences. It's just they are fully consciousness simulation. People would think it's technology. It's so advanced, but it's not. It's consciousness of these demonic, and it's a power they've been granted by God. That's a whole complicated conversation on why. We'll get to that later, maybe. But essentially, these realms, the whole purpose of building them is, well, one, they're controlling your lucidity. Two, they're controlling your implanting thoughts as you go and guiding your movements by giving you impulses that you follow. They are guiding your destinations completely. You're not even choosing where to go half the time. They are even grabbing you and moving you around. There's excerpts that prove this. I'm going to read from source material.
People, when they go into this
out of body,
out of body experience,
which is through meditative practices, theta brainwave
and
state.
Governments experiment with this stuff. It's not just crazy. This is stuff the government and stuff.
This is stuff that so many people have experienced with matching testimonies and some discrepancies in the lore on the specifics, which is where the deceptions come in, which we might get to. But essentially, these created realms, the whole goal of them, and the implications here are massive, the whole goal of them is they are giving you a false cosmology, reincarnation-based, very new age material, higher selves. They like to merge with you and join their hive mind, and there's a lot to go on that. But the whole goal is to convince you of a cosmology that's not real, which sounds exactly like how the Bible describes demons carrying out great deceptions. And there's many verses, which I save near the end, but there's many verses in the Bible that completely back up this vision control concept, albeit less detailed than I'm going to be describing today. But I'm bringing source material and reading excerpts from the main sources, which I spend 80 pages on my book in it, Spirit Realm Shenanigans, by the way. It's also comedy. But it's embedded with Robert Monroe, the top most prolific astral traveler of all time as far as influence. He created the Monroe Institute, which is like this Harry Potter wizard school where people go to learn psychic abilities, remote viewing, entity contact, channeling, all this stuff that the New Agers do, which is potentially problematic and deceptive, in my view. But he's got 3 books. He's got Journeys Out of the Body, Far Journeys, and Ultimate Journey. I'm dissecting, in my book, I dissect each one for like 20 pages in my book, and then also Kurt Leland, his book, Otherwhere, which he's another prolific, lesser known, less popular astral traveler. He has some more insights in places of deception, but he is a Monroe Institute contributor, so he's big time and real deal. These are the people New Agers and Gnostics go to for cosmology, for information. And if these realms are totally fabricated, the entire goal is to deceive you of something that doesn't exist. And you allowed it because you consented to divination, which is a biblical thing, very, very frowned upon in the Bible. Don't do any of this. Don't do any soothsaying, channeling, entity contact, because you will be deceived.
It's against all that in the Bible.
But he allows you to be deceived if your heart desires it and you go for that. So it's like, careful what you wish for. That's what's happening here. The deceptions are so elaborate that people can't. I'm getting into the reverse wargaming of the strategies here and what is going on, because when you cross-examine these sources, there is a lot of problems here. Now, the bigger portion of this that we're not covering in detail today, but this theory connects because, one, this is how you disprove reincarnation. This is autonomy.
So you think reincarnation is totally fake?
Absolutely, which aligns with obviously the Bible.
Lots of the religions, the reincarnation, guys like Sabatov Zevi and Jacob Frank believe reincarnation. That's totally off subject.
No, it's fine, but it's literally, you got to understand that there are so much convincing evidence for reincarnation. I'm telling people, I read like 90 New Age Gnostic books. I read like 30 channeled, a bunch of reincarnation evidence, holistic healings, cross-examine. That's important stuff for later material, where they also have visions during these holistic healings with strategic laying off of pressure of the demonic themselves so that you think you heal them with a false method. And then they teach you and channel information to you while they fake heal you. They give you a fake healing.
Subject, but ayahuasca and DMT, you can go talk to these entities.
We got a DMT section
and
later.
I've done these drugs, and it partially is helpful. I believe in God after that, but it also frightened me
when I realized
some of the things I was talking to might have been demonic. It freaked me out and never touched it again.
You get downloads during these things and information
you
and knowing.
Really get that.
And you open yourself when you did that. And it's usually nice, loving, like good vibes, positive vibes. I want to love. No, not always. But usually people come back from a drug trip with like very positive feelings. Like, oh, I just felt love. I just felt like I understood the universe. And then it fades and they're like, oh, I killed my ego. And now I'm telling everybody about how cool and smart I am now. It's very ironic. But it's that download, you are opening yourself to a theta brainwave state and consensually via ritual, via divination, which is what these things are, to getting downloaded by entities, which are not going to be angels, but they're going to come at you with love and positive feelings. And we'll get into the evidence of that.
Just real quick, I was at DMT.
I
was a world champion fighter, so this sounds stupid, but something I've been trying to solve was like given to me on DMT, which that sounds stupid, a fight thing, but when that was my whole life, what I was dedicated to, at first like, wow, that's so cool, I should do it again. But then I'm like, wait, that just doesn't seem right. It was just a small little thing, but something when your whole life, that's the only thing you're studying and it solves a puzzle, that was just like, and I'm like, I'm going back and forth. Did my mind just solve that, or was that just downloaded to me out of like nowhere? And it felt like it was just downloaded real quick. That's
a common thing you're going to hear in all these spiritual experiences when you're opening yourself up via divination. People don't think that drugs are divination. They absolutely are. They get you in theta brainwave states, and their consent ritual. And if you look at the ancients and the occultists, they all use drugs to get into these states very often, and they get spiritual encounters afterwards and downloads, and then they come back and they'll write a great song or movie or book.
So it can give you real knowledge, but I never did it again after that.
And guess what? Like, you get addicted, not everybody, but you get like, ooh, I want some more of that. And then you get back to using more, and then they give you something that seems nice, and that's how they reel you in.
I wanted. It sounds weird. Oh, fight knowledge, but that's what I really wanted at that time in my life.
Absolutely, man. And they'll give you real information, but guess what?
It doesn't hurt. I was working on.
It doesn't hurt them at all to do that. It actually, it makes you trust them more, or the drugs more, who allowed this, and it's to get you involved.
Our phone with the Apple.
Yeah, a little bit on the nose. Apple.
Apple.
It's a little on the nose. Well, they use symbolism everywhere to lead their little breadcrumbs. I think I'm actually talking to Brian
about that later. But that's off topic.
Please do.
Yeah, so
all good, man. So yeah, this whole thing is I have part 2 and part 3 material. We're not going to get to it today, but part 2 is holistic healing stuff, cross-examining. But I should mention, because it is kind of a big deal, I officially asked Dan Duval to a debate, and he has not responded. Bride Movement, please reach out to me. I love you, Dan. I'm trying to be a friend, but you need to debate me, and we're going to pay for your expenses.
Astral.
He calls it. He is against astral projection publicly, and in his book, he flatly admits to traveling in the spirit. It's different. Not different, but he thinks it's different. He says, "No, I don't astral project." He's like, "That's your soul." No, he says that
something different.
He says, "That's your soul. I'm traveling with my spirit." No, it's no, dude. That's what it is. That's all it is.
And people don't realize this shit's you can't take this type of stuff lightly. People like
I have a whole 3 hours on him. We don't need to do it right now, but John Pounder's hooking up on the moderator if we're going to do it. So let's, and we might got more people involved. Anyway,
sorry to cut off on the drug aspect. That was just something that I found interesting because I felt like these entities were there, so I've experienced this type of stuff, and then I stopped.
Just because they give you what you wanted doesn't mean it's what you doesn't mean it's good. It's a gateway drug.
And it's the same entities that come. People like had a friend had the jester come to him, and he was
it's always the archetypes with the jester.
The jester, and he like followed him for a couple months after that and freaked him out.
Yeah, we are absolutely doing a DMT breakdown.
No,
we're doing DMT.
But the jesters, one of them comes and he's like terrifying.
I looked
the jester up once my friend was freaking out over it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's real.
Yeah, they have different archetypes for different drugs, and DMT they specifically use jester and other certain archetypes that only exist.
There's like 4 or 5 that only.
It's all simulation.
It's all the same entities that come to people.
All simulation, different archetypes.
That's why you realize it's real. Like there's a jester that comes, and they all have the same personality trait. It's just insane.
Some of them are pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, but DMT will be covered near the back end. I have a whole section on DMT lockout and how this is verified. Like there's
I jumped ahead.
No, you're good.
I'll let you get back on your thing. I just didn't want to forget the drug thing because I've kind of seen some of this stuff.
It's very elusive.
And that's when I realized it wasn't an hallucination like I had felt with acid and shrooms. I go, oh, this is real.
No, yeah, and I'm glad you, because that's a good thing, because ultimately it gets you aware of
it woke me up a lot. It changed my whole
spiritual
worldview.
Warfare is very real, and people need to be aware of that, and that we're in a battle every day, as dramatic as grandiose that sounds. But yeah, man, that whole thing leads into reincarnation debunk, which is the whole part 3 material. It's in the book, but watch my other podcasts if you want to hear some of that. It's a whole, even the birthmarks. I break that down.
Where can people find you? Just put your name and stuff
my X is where I get real crazy and theoretical and very schizo. Bethlehem with a Seth. And then my Instagram, which is similar, is Sethlehem_. My YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. I'm posting interviews I do with other people where I'm the host. I will be doing some of those. Sethlehem_. A lot of good material on there. And I have a Dan Duval breakdown video, a short one that's really funny, edited. Please watch that. It's hilarious. Anyway, so I'm going to get into the evidence, I guess, and just because I'm making very big claims here. Yeah. And I want people to understand I can back this up.
As a consequence of being truly a free speech podcast, I've been demonetized on YouTube, X, Facebook, and almost everywhere else. To be able to fund the podcast, I rely fully on support from viewers like you. You can support the podcast by going to fightbackpodcast.com, where you can buy merch or sign up to become a member, which will have early access and extra content. I'm definitely not going anywhere, and I really appreciate all of your guys' support.
Whether you want to believe that I'm right or wrong about my deceptive model of this is a false cosmology implantation and whole unified deception of going to demons of the Bible, whether you want to believe that or not, no one will be able to deny that guides or ascended masters or whoever they claim to be, which I call demons, no one can deny that they have the power to do exactly what I'm describing because they admit to it directly and indirectly many, many ways. I'll get to the direct ones now, and I'm reading sources from, like I said, I'll be switching between Robert Monroe's his trilogy of books, sources from his, and then switching between that and Kurt Leland's Otherware book. So, this is all in there, not making it up. It's going to be really silly pretty soon here. But this is a pretty flat admission from Robert Monroe himself, the most popular and sought after, he's dead now, but, most influential astral traveler of all time, who was an asset for the demons potentially. So he says, when he's talking about his guides and how they teach him like behavioral modification, like by repeating simulations, he says, talking about his guides, a favorite and quick learned method forever method of theirs was simulation. It was based on their ability to create and place into a human consciousness, mine or an Earth-type situation so real and so overwhelming that I could not tell reality from illusion. I do not know the limits of such simulation, talent, or technology, nor do I know the extent to which they employ the technique. It may only be in my particular case, but I doubt it. The potentials of this application in other ways begs for broad speculation. I'm doing it. In my own pattern, it was usually applied as an instant cleanup pattern or instant cleanup of minor emotional patterns that blocked or distorted my clarity of perception or my stability. Usually, I was unaware of such dysfunction. They would note it and offer to take care of the problem. I would be informed that a lesson was about to take place with my consent. Yet once in the simulation, it became absolutely and totally real. And I lived it. If I did not come up with the desired action, the simulation would be repeated until I did. Even in the repetition, I couldn't break through the reality of the simulation. Lucidity being jacked with their intentionally dumbing him down strategically at the right time. They can do that whenever they want, but I'll get to why that's important in a minute. He then says, yet once the training sequence was completed, I then knew what it was for. To pose questions about motives seemed irrelevant, or perhaps I didn't want to endanger the good thing I had going for me. Those are the words of his own mouth, and he addresses this whole topic one time in that one paragraph in 3 books and never talks about it again. Doesn't describe his experiences, nothing. I think he's very aware of the implications of this existence, and Kurt Leland gets into it more, which we're about to read, but he doesn't describe it in detail because he literally says,
kind of want to stay away from it.
I didn't want to endanger the good thing I had going for me. I didn't want to endanger the access to this cosmic occult knowledge, so I don't want to piss off my guides who are really just hacky-sacking my consciousness around wherever they want. And we'll get into more of the lack of control he has very soon because there's more excerpts. But that's instantly admitted they have the capability to create a simulation realer than reality. A constant thing you will consistently hear over and over.
Yeah.
Realer than reality. I didn't even, they get lost in it and think it's a real world they're living in. That's why their lucidity's jacked. But that's, like I said, they're strategically doing that to him, controlling it intentionally. But I'll get into why in a minute. But yeah, later in my book, I cover, which is very related to that, a simulation realm talked about in Kurt Leland's Otherware. And he says, he's basically describing his guide saying, we're going to give you a test and we're going to put you in this astral escape room. So it's a simulation.
Is his guide a human or his guide like a
His guide is a spirit encountered in the astral realm. He's already out of body. He's had these guides for years.
So these guides are the entities.
They have these guides for years and decades, the same ones.
The same guides come to
and
them.
If they're deceptive, they're deceiving you for a long time, and a lot of details are along with it. It's not just one time. It's like a very long.
These are Satan deceives or Lucifer deceives.
Exactly, these are long standing. And if you're I should mention in my second chapter of my book, I do a whole bedrock breakdown of 12 different channeled sources and show that the entities that we meet in the astral are saying the same things as these channeled sources, but they're thematically aligned pretty constantly, always against the Bible's narratives, but always trying to rebrand specifically biblical narratives and no one else, and Jesus' identity. Yeah. But whenever you look at the details of what they say about Jesus' identity, about demons' identity, about our origins of creation, about Atlantis, pre-flood world, about all these things, you cross-examine what they don't tell us, which is insightful. They constantly disagree with the details, so much so, but they're claiming absolute fact from the Akashic records, which is the universal record of all knowledge. So if they're all getting Akashic records information, why aren't they saying the same things? They're diverging strategically because they know people will gravitate towards what they want and not cross-examine. Why did Satan only create of these thousands of religions if Christianity is true instead of creating one counter-religion?
Yeah.
muddy the waters, make Christianity look like one in a barrel of a bunch of belief systems. It's strategic and smarter to do so.
Yeah, I just want to add something real quick.
Hit me.
Because I typically don't. I don't do a lot of type of content.
Yeah.
People all around the world, different times, are talking to the same entities often. And they've described them the same.
Yeah, I mean, they'll
that to me is when I started seeing that I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, well, the same character traits, yes, but they'll physically, in the visual aspects of these visions, which come in all sorts of different ways, and the astral travel is just the most immersive type, they have a constant, like, these archetypes that play out, but they change the mask, you know? Back, like, people say aliens used to be the
look
Fae.
exactly the same, but there's typically, I know less about astral traveling, I know more from, like, the drugs and stuff.
You're going to learn a lot today.
But there's, like, the same entities that always come,
Yeah.
or when people summon, like, spirits, it's also the same gods that come.
They want you
know?
to think it's all these different characters who have similar character traits, maybe, but different characters, so that you think the universe is super expansive and infinite. And I'm not saying it's not infinite to some degree, but there's good and evil. There ain't no neutral ass spirits out here, and there's no
there's a good and evil. I think a lot of us have realized.
There's no neutrality. There's no, and this apathetic.
Because a lot of these people are teaching the neutral God, but then they're doing bad things. I've started noticing.
It's weird how that's connected, right?
Like the sacrifice and stuff. Oh, it's to a neutral God. Then why does it need like human sacrifice?
Yeah, why do they summon all these entities and no one tries to summon Yahweh? That's crazy. I've never heard anybody try to do that.
Good point.
It's just funny. Anyway, so there's more evidence. The simulation stuff is talked about directly by Kurt Leland here, and in his book, he's describing being put into an astral escape room, they call it, and they're trying to, you got to figure out how to get out of here, and it's not going to end until they literally say it's not going to end until you figure it out. Now, they kind of cut it short because he never does, but I don't want to spoil too much, but he says he's transported to instant consciousness shift, which is a common theme you'll see here soon. Like, it's instant shifts from one realm in the astral to another realm, and it's perfect simulation.
Different realms in the simulation.
But it's a perfect transition, like you're leveling up, and it's not like they have to generate it and it takes time. Like, it's perfectly controlled. They have mastered this, whether they were granted that ability or developed over time to. I mean, I think they granted it, but it's the whole thing. So he says he is transported to this room that looks like 1600s Italy. He's in like a castle. That's how he describes it. So he's in a castle, but there's no door, and we'll get into that. He says, I looked down at the drawing table where I found a complex perspective study of a cathedral drawn in ink on a piece of parchment. Very detail controlled in this, like already. The sketch was in the style of the Renaissance. Could this be a past life, one in which I'd been an artist or architectural draftsman? So one, after moments of being in a simulation, told he's going in a simulation, his lucidity is dimmed, strategically in my opinion, because they want to mess with him. And he immediately thinks, is this a past life? Which makes no sense, because one, he just was told he's putting in a simulation, forgets because he's getting lost in it very quickly. But also, you don't have autonomy in a memory. So he's moving around, and he's like, I wonder if this is a past life memory. That makes no sense. But they try to do some time travel stuff in the astral that's really silly, more part of the simulation deception, so that you don't believe that, and so you believe in time travel, which is part of a bigger deception coming potentially. Anyway, he says, as instructed, I looked for clues. A quick scan showed me that there was no door. Perhaps it was concealed like a trapdoor. After all, I seem to be a prisoner of sorts. So, it's not like this is a copy and paste of a real location. Otherwise, there would be a door there. So that's just one example of, okay, this is perfectly elaborately controlled by consciousness. Then it gets really silly. He says, I looked down at the drawing table again. The architectural rendering was gone. In its place, I found a piece of typing paper turned sideways. On it was a child's drawing of a landscape. A bright blue sky with a smiling sun and puffy white clouds, green grass, and a poorly drawn cow grazing by a metal gate. Before I had a chance to ask myself what such a drawing was doing in the Renaissance, however, I found myself inside of it, a real-life figure projected into a cartoon. A wind of colors flew by, the sun set, and the crescent moon lying on its side rose up. The moon had a big nose and was wearing a nightcap. Oh no. A music box began to play Beautiful Dreamer, and the moon started to sing along in the voice of Frank Sinatra. A chorus line of 5 pointed stars whirled and jigged between verses, occasionally chiming in. The brown cow never moved, however. It remained frozen mid-chew, grass dangling from its mouth, faintly pathetic. The sun and the moon seemed to be attached to a revolving wheel that kept spinning faster and faster. Day alternated with night so rapidly that they blurred together, flickering like a strobe light. And then, just as suddenly as I'd been whisked into the child's drawing, I was outside again, seated at the drawing table. The architectural rendering had reappeared. So, that's the level of control, which is not even close to being done yet, we're talking about. They can make a cartoon world with the strobe light of the sun and moon revolving, and it's effortless, and everybody's singing, and it's like literally anything you can think of they can probably do, which there's more examples of. That is admitted by the guides and everybody's heroes, these astral travels that people convinced to do it themselves, which I did it like 80 times. I didn't know it was wrong.
Do they teach people to do this?
Yeah. No. So the guides literally tell Leland in his book, they say, I don't have the quote right here, but they say in his book, hey, we actually chose you. We chose you to write this book. We wanted you to map the astral so you could tell everybody and share the good word.
Wow.
And they said that we did the same thing with Robert Monroe, your hero. So they admit that they chose them to be an asset for their propaganda. Whether it's true or not, they chose him to release their information.
You hear that a lot from people like, Aleister Crowley. It's just it's a common theme you see. It's a separate thing, but it's a theme you see.
They need assets
people,
to carry out their missions, and it's more impactful on the culture if you have someone experiencing it as opposed to just being told via channeling, which they do that too. It's the same entities channeling people and telling them all this grand cosmology, which matches this stuff for the most part, but diverges. But they cater to the belief system of the person, because you have Emanuel Swedenborg, who's a Christian, but he's a mystic, and he did astral travel in the 1700s and has totally different cosmology, similar in a lot of ways. They overlap, but divergences that do not align. And we'll get into some of those maybe later.
They know what his beliefs are, so
they're trying to, as long as they get you convinced that you can trust them for whatever they give you after. It will still be anti-biblical, always will, but it will be closer to the truth sometimes if you're a Christian, and it will be farther if you're a New Ager. So they took a Christian who was not giving up on Jesus, and they turned him into a Gnostic by giving him the pro-Jesus but anti-Old Testament, very symbolic type methodology. And his heaven realms that he goes to totally doesn't align with other people's. Like, it does in ways, but doesn't in enough ways to where it's like, well, they can't both be telling the truth. I'll give examples in a bit, but I don't want to lose track of where I'm at. So I'll just say, because this is the longest excerpt I'm reading. It's just the most detailed, but it's pretty important. So he forgets, he's transported back to the castle after that whole crazy sequence in the dream world. I mean, it's all a dream, essentially, controlled. But he then is back in the castle, and he forgets again after that. After the cartoon world, he forgets who he is, and forgets where he's at, and then he remembers. And I think they're just dialing down, dialing up his awareness, which they can do. And they admit to it, sort of. So he then says, the study vanished, and I found myself wandering through a desert with a clarity of logic that startled me, implanting thoughts. He says, I resolved to seek out the witches and warlocks who must have been responsible for this bizarre change of scenery. Even though he knows he's in a simulation, they told him. He's forgetting, and he's getting thoughts implanted while he's there, because he consented. He says, perhaps they could tell me how to escape this reality in which I've been imprisoned. I walked and I walked. The desert remained featureless as it had been when I first arrived. I was lost, but that didn't stop me. I kept on walking anyway. Suddenly, my perspective shifted. I seemed to be seeing myself from far away. So he's not controlling this. He's taking it all in.
Seeing himself,
Yeah. So he says, looking down on myself as I walked. The desert planet I was walking on was so small that it spun beneath my feet with every step. I was wholly responsible for its rotation. I panicked. I began to feel that I'd be trapped in this barren reality, wherever and whatever it was, forever. Without transition, instant switch, I found myself back in the architect's study. So again, I'm almost done with this one, but he says again, he forgets why he's there. And he then, for some reason, implants a thought, in my opinion. He believes he's the Count of Monte Cristo from the book, which I don't know if it's nonfiction or not, but either way, that's weird. And he thinks he's them, and this girl comes in through a trap door, a woman in human form, and he thinks it's the jailer's daughter coming to save him, and he's imprisoned. That's a thought going into his head. Does that sound like a natural thought, even if your lucidity is low? No, it sounds like it's a little bit specific and manipulated to make him look stupid, which they're trying to do. Then his guide comes in human form into the simulation, and then says, let me ask you something, the instructor said. Where on earth are you able to walk through a crayon drawing while the sun smiles at you and the moon and stars are singing? Your study contains bits and pieces from every historic period of the last 500 years. We threw in everything but the kitchen sink to get you to realize this was a dream, and we finally had to put that in too. All you had to do was realize the utter impossibility of everything you were perceiving and tell yourself you must be dreaming. So the escape room, the whole catch is you just got to realize you're dreaming and get out of it. But they're dumbing his lucidity down intentionally because, one, he'll never win, so they can tell him you're wrong and here's what you do, giving him a lesson. And the reason they're telling him this is there's twofold here.
Yeah.
One, they tell him constantly throughout the book, the most important thing you can do while you're on Earth alive in your body is to go out of body. Because guess what? If you don't go out of body and practice navigating the astral realm, which is very confusing, and you always need a guide with you, they say, if you don't do that, you will have a hard time escaping the reincarnation trap, which they also program in the lore heavily. They say you will need to be able to navigate, and the only way is to practice. So you better be practicing. Go out of your body. Yeah. It's not like we're merging with you and possessing your body and doing this whole deception. Now, another layer to this is, and they don't talk about moral progression, by the way. They don't talk about your morality like almost at all. They're just kind of like everything's accepted. Everything's accepted. Very LGBTQ ZYX.
You pick your own morals, kind of like
it's very arbitrary.
Pushed on us a lot. My whole generation that was pushed. What's morally wrong? But then
we see the fruits of that. Have we not seen where that leads people?
Exactly.
I
always
big
could
scale.
feel it, but I would try living in San Francisco. I'd try ignoring this stuff.
But it sounds nice. It sounds friendly. It's like
it's
accept
good, but then
everybody.
You realize, it's going a dark path.
What's the collective? What happens collectively?
Children and not to get off subject, but if the more gay people, our society collapses. And
Yeah.
then once I saw they really were going after the children, I'm like, oh, those people
Absolutely,
were
man.
right. The people that write were saying it's never going to be enough.
Yeah, we got to get on our soapbox and be really obnoxious, man. It's for the right reasons. But yeah, another thing
It's
here is
easy to get on because we're not hateful people, so that's what they play on. Like, oh,
It's
don't
easy
be
to say that,
hateful.
though,
Just let them be them. But then you realize, no, they're like,
it's a deceptive move to say that because it's not
Exactly.
hateful at all. It's actually loving someone to actually care if they progress and
put
grow
them in the right
themselves.
direction,
You're like, oh, you can't tell
exactly.
me what to do, and I'm like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what's right and wrong. You can decide for yourself. You got free will.
Yep.
You know,
And instead, they're trying to push children and stuff the opposite direction.
that's how I feel. I bang on the table.
No, I
Anyway.
think people, it's easy to fall for it when it's like, I can tell you're a nice person, so like you
Approved.
can fall for it. I never fully fell for it, but I'm like, oh, just ignore it. They're saying it's right, but then you realize, oh, this isn't right.
Wait.
Once I had children and stuff.
Oh,
and they're
once you
pushing
become
it,
a father,
and,
it's
I
better.
had
It
kids
best
in
snap you
San
into
Francisco, they're
shape.
pushing this stuff on my kids, man.
Yeah.
That's when I was just like, no, this is.
Yeah, if you're a father and you fell for all that slop, I'll pray
Well,
for you.
no,
but,
when I wasn't a father,
not you.
Once
yeah.
they started pushing this stuff on my kids, I'm like, no, this is.
It changes things.
This
yeah.
is when I got
it knocks you into perspective real quick. I did want to make a point before I forget because it's an important one about the lucidity thing because they control, like I said, your thoughts. They control your experience, your senses, everything perfectly. This is a designed whole simulation. So the lucidity thing is important because they only seem to have damaged lucidity that's going down and making them dumber in these admitted simulation realms. The goal of this strategically would be, okay, well, all the rest of the astral where I seem cognizant and totally aware, that must be real. Now, why is it a rule that in a simulation realm you have to be dumber? Why? How does that make any sense of any of this?
Yeah.
It's strategically done so that you go to the real realm, the real quote unquote realms, and then you go, oh, well, I'm fine. So that must be a way to, because they're showing their cards with the simulation power. They're admitting it. They need to have a way to fix it into their whole logic to where it makes sense. So if they make you dumber only in this realm, in these fake realms that are admitted, then everything else will make it'll make more sense in their cosmology. But I'm going to go over many examples of other simulations where they're not telling you they're putting you in a simulation, maybe, but it absolutely has no other reason to exist other than be a simulation, which we'll get into in a second. And they're cognizant. So
they're
it's like
way more aware.
So it's like it's strategically selected to make you have this divergence of thinking they're two different things, but it's all one thing, strategically done. It's very smart.
Just real quick, can these people go in whenever they want? Are they able to astral project, or is it
Pretty
like a difficult
much.
process?
I think the more of an asset you are, the more crazy experiences you get. These people being big assets authors, pushing it into culture, they're going to get more attention than people who are just doing it for fun. And like I was doing it for fun.
You said you've done. Well, let's get into that in the end. I'm curious your experience.
We'll get into that in a
too,
bit. Yeah, I do. I have some silly stories. I don't have the stories like Monroe.
Yeah, but-
because I was aware of deception of demons before this, but I still thought
But it's
astral travel was
interesting
real.
You've still done that.
Yeah, I was pretty dumb. I got pulled out of my body quite a few times.
Most of us have done dumb and fall. You don't really know. You hear all these things. It's easy to fall into all kinds of traps.
Yeah, I'm still in my 20s, but I was in my early 20s.
40s, so yeah. So I was really dumb.
Yeah, and I was smoking a lot of weed, and that maybe hasn't totally stopped, but I'd say it makes you a little silly.
Weed's was not good for me either.
Yeah, I can agree.
That can open up demons. I've had two friends go schizo, people don't believe it, but I've literally seen it with my own eyes. People get mad when you say it, but it's like
it's layers because the weed can be a gateway drug spiritually, and it doesn't have to be that.
People. And it's only heavy smokers, people that are already a little bit open to things.
Oh, yeah.
A regular person's not going to go crazy from it, but some people can.
Yeah, I think anybody has the potential to go absolutely insane if they're opening themselves up via certain practices. And I don't think weed is the biggest opening door, but it is
But
something.
it can. No, exactly.
And it leads to other ones. It's a gateway drug, literally. And it keeps people off harder drugs. Yeah, I've heard the arguments. It's complex. Anyway, man, so there's more. I don't need to read excerpts for all these, but I will talk about another simulation thing, which is, this is the downloads conversation. This is Rote. In Bob Monroe's book, he talks about Rote, R-O-T-E, okay? This is his word he uses to describe downloads. Now, and you know what a download is. It's an instant, like when they're in the astral, they're telepathically communicating. They're not talking with their mouths.
Yeah, they're not talking.
But instead of conveying a complex topic and going back and forth in the astral, they just like to hand off rotes, which are download. So you just go, here, take this, and boom, metaphysical transfer, and instantly you know a complex topic, instantly very complex. You might forget the details over time somewhat, but you gather the general gist of it and get a very deep, complex understanding. And downloads happen in a lot of spiritual experiences. And a lot of
lots of these big tech guys are doing this because I lived in San Francisco for a while and hung out with these. I was famous around all these big tech guys, and they're doing a lot of these drugs, and they're admitting they're getting some openly and some privately that they're getting these downloads and stuff by doing these drugs.
Yeah, and they're very influential characters. It's weird how that lines up.
I'm not gonna say names, but like famous, well-known people I know they're doing this, and some of them might even publicly say it. But like
I've heard quite a few. Yeah, man. It is so. Downloads is not a controversial thing at all. People understand that. Now, if they can do that, then the whole me saying they're guiding their thoughts this whole time is not a stretch at all. You just aren't being told. It's the same thing. You're just not being told. And they're strategically doing it in ways that are more imperceivable. And they're capable of doing that. So these downloads he calls a rote. Doesn't just have to be information. It can be a full simulation experience. And he gets transferred to one in this example. He meets a character in the Astral who's an alien spirit, apparently, from another planet who died on his planet. And he's looking for a new place to reincarnate. And this is the story. So he comes into Earth realm and runs into Bob in the Astral, just runs into him randomly. And he talks to Bob about how he died. And Bob's like wondering where he came from. He's like, how'd you die? And instead of just telling him how he died, he gives him a rote. He says, here, just take this. I don't want to explain it, even though it's very easy to explain.
Yeah.
And he gives him a rote, and boom, instant transfer without him even saying anything. Just take him, throws him in there, gets transferred instantly to a simulation. And they don't call it that, but that's what it is. Because what's happening here, he goes to this alien planet that alien came from. It's humanoid. It's like Earth. It's different, but it's close to Earth. You know, it's similar vibes, very uncreative. He's in a body, has autonomy. It's not a memory from this character. He's walking around and has his own autonomy. So it's not a memory from that character, which they can also transfer memories. That's a whole reincarnation debate. Now, he transferred him to a simulation where it never happened. He wasn't ever living there. So this is not a real thing. But he goes and has awkward interactions with some of the citizens. He seems to blend in, which means he's either in an alien body or something, because he's interacting with people, so they can see him. So it doesn't make any sense. So then he ends up having being accosted by some military type on the alien planet. And this is all pointless because out of nowhere, Tsunami comes by and literally wipes out everybody and kills everybody. He drowns and has a traumatic death in this rote, which is pointless. I don't know why he put him through that, but he gets a traumatic death and boom, wakes up from it. And then he's back in the Astral with, guess what the character's name is? This alien spirit. His name, translated into English at least, is Z-55/Lou, L-O-U. That's a dumb, fake, made-up alien name, and it's stupid and insulting to my intelligence. Think of something better next time, like Xenon or Bleeplorp or something funny. Anyway, so it's just lazy. So that alien gave him that simulation, and that's not a guide, ascended master, nothing. That's just another character who died on a planet and came here. So it's just like, oh, so you can do it too. Interesting. Okay. So he puts him through that traumatic death. He comes back from it, oh shoot, like that was crazy, but he's like trying to be chill, but it was very traumatic. You know, he just trauma bonded with him for no reason. He could have just said, I died in a tsunami. Why did you have to put him through that? And it wasn't real. So it's a made up, the event happened on that planet apparently, but he was never there and he didn't drown like that. So how did they do that? Simulation. It doesn't have any other explanation. He didn't time travel there. He wasn't there. He was in a different body. It doesn't make any sense other than simulation, which is indirectly admitted. So then there's other ones where he'll go into a rote from somebody else trying to tell them their story. And inside that rote, now he's living their memory. He has no autonomy. So now it's just playing out a scene
that person.
Where he's that person and he can't do anything, but he's experiencing it. And they always say with every minute sensory detail, input, emotion, everything is perfectly you're very present. So it's not like very loose and dreamlike. It's very
real.
Very real. And that's what everybody
real
says.
As this right now.
Exactly. So that's an important detail here. Now, in one of them he goes into, and the whole story is very complex and has a whole bunch of lore I could break down, but in the book, so he goes into a simulation. He's playing a character now who's in that, and he has no autonomy. And then in that rote, which is a memory apparently, in that memory, the character he's now playing is greeted by another character who gives him a rote as that character, and then he goes inside of that one and is now living the memories of that person, one Russian dolled, one inside of the other. Now, people would go, that the whole goal of this deception is they're trying to show this infinite, we're all connected to one consciousness, we can access any memory ever, no matter what. It's this infinite.
So they're trying to say we're all one conscious and we can boom, boom.
Oh, they push the hive mind stuff heavy, which we're about to get into. The hive mind thing is important. I have lore on that in just a minute.
Maybe and we talk about how they're trying to push this alien stuff and stuff.
Oh, don't get me started now. I'll go crazy on that.
Now,
I have a whole thing on that. Yeah.
That'll get us way off track.
It will, but I'm all over it. Don't you worry. And this is all connected because you meet a lot of aliens in the astral, alien spirits, which one of these were. So anyway, they're making the point that it's all infinite, but really he's not going one simulation into another from that. He's just being switched. And his impressions that they're laying on him, because they control those, are just, I just know this is what's happening. And they're telling him, but, there's this knowing, this gnosis.
And it's his guides that's switching him, the non-human guide.
Yeah, but in this view, it's the friend he met in the Astral, which is not a guide. So these non-guides are giving him full simulations as well, okay? And downloaded memories, which they can pass on memories that you live out. Keep that in mind. That's admitted that you can live out somebody else's memories and it feel like your own. Actually admitted a lot in part 2 material and part 3. But we're not doing all that right now. So yeah, there's more. In page, I don't have their page, but my book, 166, Kurt Leland's book talks about being in the astral, and I'll just read it. He says the facilitators, which is his name for one of the type of guides. He gives them different names like overseers, facilitators, watchmen, something like that. But really, he later says, they might all be one being, and I'm just not sure, and I'm just trying to map it too hard. He actually says that, which is funny because they are one being. But he says the facilitators fulfill a variety of functions in the after-death zone, the zone where you go when you die, but astral travelers can visit, because they can go anywhere. So he's visiting the place where all the dead people are.
So they're saying that's where you go when you die. They're visiting.
Yeah, it's not heaven or hell. It's these healing. Well, there's these healing centers and there's many places, and we'll get to some of them. And there's belief system territories, which are a little bit only throwing shade on Christianity for some reason. If you believe in a belief system, you will be sent.
Noticing too, everything's always hatred towards Christianity.
They never point out Islam. They never point out Mormonism. They never point. Well, that's the funny one.
Yeah,
they never
really
point out anything else.
In that pattern.
And Jesus, and they attack his identity.
Jesus
They'll be pro Jesus.
Too, yeah.
They love saying nice things about Jesus, but only if he's not God in the flesh. They always make sure he was just an ascended master, like you can be. You can be God. It's the original lie of the serpent in the.
I can be God.
It's the original lie, Adam and Eve. The original lie on a mass scale, which is what they're fulfilling, I think, in the near future in a lot of ways. What do I know? So he says the facilitators fulfill a variety of functions in the after-death zone, depending on the station to which they've been assigned. It's very organized. He says, thus they may be broken down into subgroups identified by the specific tasks they perform. One night, my guide arranged for me to watch a documentary in the astral that provided an overview of these tasks, like what they do as their job. I was brought to an area of non-physical reality that I perceived as a conference room large enough to seat a dozen people at several small round tables. At first, I seemed to merely be watching it. Moments later, I was inside of it, personally witnessing the things it described while a voice explained what I was seeing. And they go into like 20 pages of a breakdown of what the jobs of these entities are in the astral, dealing with our souls and how they help us heal. And it's kind of nightmare fuel, scary stuff. I'm not even going to cover it today. It's too much detail, but it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, just the idea of that. I don't like this idea.
It's like without the rose-colored glasses of your perceptions, which they say your perceptions can cloud it and you can perceive it differently, but this is what's really happening without it. And it's kind of nightmarish, and it's not at all what the Bible describes, of course, which is important for them to convey that message. But it says he was, without being asked or anything, transferred instantly from watching an astral documentary on a screen to being inside of a 3D world, a simulation, which is admittedly fake. They just don't say, hey, this is fake, but he's in a documentary, in an astral documentary.
Yeah.
And then a narrator, invisible, but there, is telling him what's happening. So they can present themselves whenever they want, and it just know this is admitted because they're showing him this is what they do.
Yeah.
So another simulation. There's more. This is where we get into the autonomy thing and how much control they really have. I got a couple of shorter quotes here, and the insights to take from them are pretty important. So
these people are trying to encourage other people to go and do it with them.
That is entirely what's going on. Now, part of it's just telling people this is what astral realms are like. This is what is out there when you die. This is what's really there. It's real. That's what they're trying to tell you. But also, you should do it too, because if you don't, you're going to have a hard time getting out of the reincarnation cycle. We're trying to help you.
They want us all jumping out.
It's a pretty diverse deception, to get you to do the most toxic thing you can for your soul, which is out of body travel, because you're opening
ayahuasca. They're always trying to pressure you to do it too.
Yeah, and the biggest opening you can do is out of body travel. It's the most immersive form of vision control and deception.
Doing it without drugs.
Yeah, remote viewing. I like to say, I should probably mention remote viewing. By the way, people like to say when they hear my presentation, they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know that stuff about the astral. Like maybe like some of it is, yeah." But remote viewing is like we know when we're being hijacked. Like there's times when they put on false flags, but it's a whole thing. They say remote viewing is trustworthy. We get real data. I'm like, yeah, of course they give you real data. They can access all this information. They're part of a hive mind, which we're about to get into. Remote viewing data is just as controlled. It's mostly impression and download based, like knowing, and then a little bit of visuals. It's not out of body, but it's like partially out of body in the sense that it's the same. It's the cousin, the lesser immersive cousin of astral travel. So I'm saying if astral travel is this controlled, remote viewing is easy business for them. So that's the takeaway from this. Whenever they give you real data, it's to make you trust it. So when they give you stuff you can't verify, like the astral realm, stuff you cannot verify, when they give you that, you'll trust it. Because the other stuff they gave you,
they've shown a little bit of it's real. This little piece works.
Yes, it's strategic and it's very well done.
Because that's do a lot of things. They think pieces are true or almost true, so they can make it believable, but just change a few things.
Exactly. They're catering to what you're willing to believe.
A lot of conspiracies, they'll change a few things from what the real thing is.
That's right. There's a lot of patterns being played out here.
It's like, oh, they're controlling a lot of the conspiracies.
Deceptive elites who are powered by demons potentially are seemingly very much like them.
Actually researching this stuff, it's way crazier. Things that I thought, oh, crazy nonsense conspiracies. You start, well, some of them are crazy nonsense or just slightly twisted, a lot of them.
Absolutely.
They twist a couple little things on them.
Yeah, with all the alien disclosure happening right now. Oh, I wouldn't say it, but dang, they're forcing people into a mass awakening, and but it's funneled and controlled completely. And
I think they were going to release it like couple weeks ago, and I guess they decided not to. They're going to have they told all the Christian pastors, these guys seem like demonic ones, and they were going to push this alien thing, but for some reason they paused it.
I think everything that seems like it's just random timed, I like to think I'm a believer in God, and that the prophecies are spoken for and the timeline's a little spoken for, and whether they know it or not, everything's happening in a planned state, in my opinion, timing wise, and they may act like that's not the case, but that's just my personal belief based on all the information I have. What do I know? I'm just a goofy young guy. But there's some quotes here in Bob Monroe's book, which I think is very insightful, where early into Bob's travels in his first book, before he knew who these guides were fully, this is what he's saying. He says, one of the greatest enigmas of this whole affair is that someone, or more than one, has been helping me from time to time in such experimentation. Perhaps they are with me every time, and I'm just not aware of them. True. I do not know who these helpers are or why they're helping me. They certainly do not seem to be guardian angels. Their system seems to be more of their choosing and deliberation than mine. They are rarely friendly in the sense that we understand the term. The feeling of gentle but firm hands on each side of me was very strong. The same hands turning me around to leave, much as one steers a blind person, could not have been more vivid. Wait a minute, so you're getting pushed around by invisible entities in the astral too? That's interesting. I thought you had a lot more autonomy. People really believe that, but the top guys are getting pushed around. Beyond that, in this section, I have funny names for all my sections. It's a comedy book as well. I call it Supermind Take the Wheel, and it says, your destination seems to be grounded completely within the framework of your innermost constant motivations, emotions, desires. You may not consciously want to go there, but you have no choice. Your supermind, or your soul, is stronger and usually makes the decision for you. He's telling you, your higher self, your supermind, whatever you want to call it, is wiser than you and knows what you need to learn and is outside of time and is a hive. If anybody doesn't know what a higher self is, it's the New Age term for a hive mind, time outside of time figure who is a culmination of all of your future and past incarnations, except the current one you're in, which is weird. It's a combination, which is sometimes 1,000 plus. They don't really give you an exact number. They just said we stopped counting after 1,000. I'm like, I thought you had information access to everything. You don't know how many dudes are in your little hive mind. They say that. So they're in an admitted hive mind, which is a concept we're going to get into in just a minute, which is a very repeatable thing. And they admit to that. And they're saying that your higher self knows where you should go, knows what you should learn and what you should be exposed to. So they usually decide. Usually don't decide. Or if you do decide, it's because they coaxed you into it. So you think you have control, but they're deciding. Yeah, but they know what's best for you because it's you from the future outside time. And so they know what you want. That's what they've been convinced of. Or it's a demon who's really, really elaborate.
Exactly.
It's one or the other.
You know what's a demon or what's an angel. That's kind of the...
Oh, I'm about to get into some. Okay, I'll just go ahead and read it. So I have like 4 little short quotes after, and I'll just say that exactly on that point. He says, notice how easily any potential anxieties or fears are overcome by simply a pattern of radiation emanating from strangers. Saying in the astral, and this is data he compiled from other astral travelers, not just himself, he says they can make you feel love and warmth and really good in the astral or just in spiritual experiences, of course, and they can make you feel really good. And he says that way you're not stressed out when you meet them because they might be a intimidating figure or something because it's very immersive, intense experiences. But they make you feel good and can control your feelings, like I said.
They can control your emotions and everything even.
Now, if anybody's read the Bible listening, you would know that, I don't know if you know, but angels in the Bible, when they show up, the biblical angels apparently, they always say a specific thing, I think every time they encounter a human. They always say, do not be afraid. They say, calm the hell down. Why would they do that? Because they're not jacking into your chemicals, manipulating them to make you feel good. They're letting you come to that without manipulation.
Oh, yeah, because like in the drug things, your feelings will just be calmed or it can be panicked up.
But it's not because you...
But they never would say, don't be scared.
But they're telling you because they need you to come to that conclusion on your own because that gives you...
Ayahuasca tell someone not to be scared. That's
exactly.
Interesting.
But if they're so good guys, why don't they just jack in and make you feel good? Doesn't that sound kind of like manipulative and weird? All these beings in the astral, all of them will constantly make you feel really good, or also really bad when they're playing out a false flag of theatrics.
It's like
they'll give you a negative character in the astral, and they'll convince you it was a thought form. A thought form is what they call a manifestation of your fears or anxieties, and it'll be like a demonic type entity who will manifest and attack you in the astral, give you real feeling pain, and then the guides will come up and save you from them, and then they'll tell you, that was your thought form. That was you. You created that because you were nervous in here, so you created an entity to attack you by your subconscious. That's what they tell you. What they're really doing is they're putting on a show, making you get scared, have a nasty experience, and then go, oh, we saved you, but by the way, you can save yourself. You can save yourself, and all you have to do is just know that was created by your own heart, your own fears. So just don't be fearful. And not being fearful is great, but what are you believing and what is going along with that information? It's truth mixed with lies, very enticing.
You don't know what's... And I wasn't even religious all the time fucking around with it, but I realized I don't know what you can trust, what you can't. I'm staying away from these realms.
Well, if you're truly evil and you're an ancient entity who's very intelligent, which
Yeah.
these beings clearly are to carry
Yeah.
these things out,
Oh, yeah.
what would you do to manipulate the world? Would you come out with your claws and your big old teeth and
No.
be a monster? You would do the opposite.
Pretend like, oh, I'm giving you some good knowledge. You want this. You're my friend.
It's all throughout the Bible, constantly, and all
so
throughout
an angel
many
will
cultures.
always say, don't be afraid.
Every time they show up, pretty much. I'm pretty sure 100% of the time, if not 99. When they show up, they say, do not be afraid. They do not control your chemicals because everybody's
Yeah.
freaking out. It's a very intense experience. It's probably pretty frightening. When people are in the throne of God in their visions in the Bible that God is controlling, which God can do this too, of course, but he does it for furthering the kingdom purposes. He always has a reason in the Bible for giving someone a vision. I'll get into the Bible stuff later. Oh my God, it's a whole thing. But yeah.
But chasing vision, we need to be careful chasing visions.
You cannot summon a spiritual experience from God. If you try to, no matter what, it's divination every time. God will choose you.
Only summon demons.
God chooses all his prophets in the Bible. None of them chose to do it via doing remote viewing. That's the opposite. That's divination, and that's where you're getting lies. If you are a prophet, you have to be chosen by God.
You never should try to summon.
Hey everyone, I want to tell you about my sponsor, AntelopeHillPublishing.com. They're a free speech company that publishes books which would otherwise be censored, such as Culture of Critique by Kevin McDonald, who I've interviewed on my show. They have lots of collections of speeches and writings by important 20th century political figures that are censored in almost all other places. Check them out at AntelopeHillPublishing.com and use promo code FIGHTBACK. You will receive a discount and also support my podcast. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching Fight Back Podcast. If you like the show, like, subscribe, or share the video. There's also donation links in the descriptions.
Never, because it's always going to be demonic. You cannot summon God. You cannot summon what you want, your will from him. It'll always be the further the kingdom, and someone who's that prideful and selfish, which is what that stems from, is going to get the demonic every time.
Yeah, who are you to think you could summon God?
Absolutely. And it's so against his word. It's like it gets so wishy-washy if you allow some people to summon him and other people not. It gets too it gets too wishy-washy. And they imitate Yahweh and they imitate Jesus all the time in the Astral. I have plenty of stuff on that, which we'll get to. They admit to it. It's pretty crazy. Another short thing here is that they say the entire history of humankind and Earth is available to them in the most minute detail if needed. This goes back to my earlier point. If that was true and everybody in the Astral could access the Akashic records of all knowledge of everything, why are channeled books, which I cross-examined 12 of the popular ones in my book, why do they constantly, and I'm not giving examples right now, read the book, they constantly diverge in details in so many ways that they cannot be all telling the truth. It's either they're all lying or one of them's telling the truth, but they all have the same patterns of things. So if they all have access to this and they're the same entities you're meeting in the Astral, why are they giving you different stories? There's no excuse for that. It's deception. So that's a flat, we can't trust them. If we can't trust them and they can simulate things, what else should we gather from that? There's another thing. Not only can they utilize the vocal cords and the breathing apparatus, channeling through your body, they can possess you, that's great, but they have total access to the memory storage lodged in the individual. This is important. A lot of Christians don't believe they can access your memories and thoughts. If they can implant thoughts, which it's pretty clear they can, they can absolutely read as well as they can write. And I believe they can access all your memories. And what they're doing here is, this is data collection. I believe they are a hive mind. The only way to pull off these deceptions on a mass scale across the world in a unified way and strategically diverging when it matters, the only way they can do that is if they're a hive mind able to share access instantly. I try to tell people, imagine AI in the ether but controlled by demons.
Yeah, it's like a hive mind. Exactly. I was just thinking,
exactly
you said hive mind, like AI is turning to a hive mind.
As above, so below is relevant here, I suppose.
It's who gave the knowledge to create that.
Oh yeah, well, it's weird how these things line up. And I wonder if they can access technology. I feel like there's a lot of lore pointing towards that they can. I wonder if they can connect their hive mind to
these high tech guys are doing this. Because I lived in San Francisco. People don't understand everything you're talking about. These guys are literally
building the system for the entities.
I think some from openly in public conversations, but to me, I've heard it from lots of these people. But I think they say it openly too, like all the time.
Absolutely, man. And think about what they're not saying too. On top of that, like people need to be a little schizo here because there's too much things happening now to point towards it.
So a lot of these like powerful tech people, it's like I've literally seen not the Astro stuff, but like other things they're doing.
Yeah, man. It's just the hive mind thing's important. I'll get into another example of the memory thing here because it's important that people understand this is what they're admitting. These people that people look up to for the astral travel stuff, this is what they're admitting is possible. Bob says in one part, I immediately he's going into his own Akashic records, his own memories. So it's not the world's memories, but it's his own because he wants to get to his understand his past and make find things out about himself. It's very narcissistic, as it all is. He says, I immediately encountered the expected, a layer or file, library or mainframe containing every moment of my life to date, with more pouring in that matched exactly my thoughts and actions as I conducted the investigation. That's crazy. This was far more than memory as we consciously think of it. Upon selection of any given point in the past, I relived the event in every detail, down to each minute sensory input, thought, and emotion. I soon realized that supermemory was not altogether pleasurable. With such intense hindsight, one becomes all too painfully aware of the many irrational decisions made, the stupid mistakes, and the missed opportunities. Now, the implications here are massive because if they are a hive mind, which they constantly will push that in their lore, they already admit the Godheads that you belong to, the higher selves, they already admit they're a hive mind. And they say that whenever you evolve as a higher self, the goal for your higher self is to evolve to then join the hive mind of source and dissolve into it.
Into a hive mind merging with AI.
No, it's everywhere. And the symbolism is everywhere with that. And there's more that I get to that covers that. But the hive mind thing is real. It's how they carry out these deceptions. And also all the aliens people get abducted by. Sorry to get on that topic, but guess what? Everybody says they're all telepathic. They're all connected to each other telepathically.
Yeah.
Does that count? Does that stop outside of the ship? Or does that maybe connect to everybody? They say on their alien home planets, when people get past life memories of alien home planets, like the Pleiadians and the Nordics, or the marine, the mermaid types, there's people claiming these. They're real memories they're getting. Well, they're fake, but they're actual experiences, and they remember these planets and these that have no religion and they have no real chaos or wars, and they also are all telepathic, always in a hive mind. Everyone. So it's like, why are they programming this if it's not true?
So really pushing the hive mind.
Always, constantly. They're trying to normalize it, make you think it's okay, because they
see that coming. Right.
They're trying to make possession okay, because if we're all connected, then and we're all connected to source, ultimately, why does it matter if we take over each other's bodies?
Yeah, we're all just one mind.
They're normalizing.
And that's coming soon, I think, is going to be pushed.
Oh, like, yeah, we're on the same page, dog. No,
stuff recently I've been looking into, so.
We don't have long at all, baby. Let's go. We got to be poking out here.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to fight for the Lord and be a crazy person out here.
Because people look at you like you're crazy, but then you start realizing it's all true.
Yeah. You'll be knocking on my door for canned food pretty soon here, I bet. So yeah, man, the Borg thing is crazy because I want people to understand the implications on mediumship and like remote viewing data. When people get prophetic knowledge, when you go to a medium and they tell you, oh, your future, you're going to be, because they can see the future apparently, they say you're going to be successful. They might say you're going to get a job promotion soon. They'll say stuff like that and you'll get a big raise and it's going to be great. Yeah. That's one example. And then there's two things happening here. One, your belief and desire acts as a level of consent to the demonic realm in consent law. And consent law is complicated. We're not going to cover it all today. But your belief in that acts as a way for now demons to go on assignment and now infiltrate the minds of people necessary to certain small degrees to make that manifest. That's what manifesting is. That's the actual demonic Christian spin on it. It's like, oh, my thoughts can, they say manifesting, the New Agers will be like, oh, your thoughts can manifest reality. If you believe something hard enough, it'll happen. Guess what? Because demons are reading your thoughts and you're giving them consent to act on that. Magic requires humans' consents. Demons do the work. They require humans' consent to actually be allowed to do it. It's all fair balance. Now, the other layer here is if you get that job promotion, your boss, what could be happening here is for the last week before you get that whole medium prophecy, it could be your boss already discussing firing the person that your job you're going to replace. They could already be discussing it. They know it's going to happen. So they're just looking at someone else across the city doing what's going to happen, compiling data in the hive mind, AI, instant transfer of information, and boom, statistically, we know it's probably going to happen, or it is going to happen, and they already decided. And then boom, it happens a few days later, and you go, how did you know the future? Yeah. Oh, you just collected data and shared it. That's all it is. And your belief acted as additional consents for them to carry out these missions and make things happen. And maybe it was between you and another guy, and they're back and forth, and they go, now that you believe that prophecy, boom, demons can now implant thoughts in the thoughts of that guy, if he's open and not protected by the Holy Spirit, then he can then be making him more likely to choose you.
Yeah.
So that's magic, bro. That is what magic is. Ultimately, it's your consents and desires. That's manifestation. But the New Agers spin it in a positive way, but it's really a double-edged sword in every way. So you got to be very careful with it. And desiring selfish things isn't going to get you much in life.
Well, the law of subject, there's like ideas out there, kind of like if there's like an invention or an idea, it'll often spring up all over the same place, the same time period.
I wonder why that is.
Like, they're back to the hive mind idea.
Yeah, and people go, oh no, it's morphic resonancy, and it's just, once it's in the collective consciousness, then you're subconsciously accessing it because the Akashic Records, but Akashic Records is fake and gay. I've already proved that, okay? So man, there's quite a few things here. There's Leland talks about the 3 type of shadow worlds. I won't read the whole thing, but basically he talks about these astral shadow worlds, funny name, And he basically describes it as an Akashic records of things that could happen. So if you go there in the astral, you can now live out an experience, and basically, if you want to see what would have happened in the past, if you did something else, you can show you what your future would have been. That doesn't exist. Or if you want to see what will happen in the future, you can say, oh, what if I make this decision in life, marry this person, or take this job, or become a healer? Usually it's a very new age thing they're doing. You can go to the astral, say, what if I do this? They build a simulation that never happened, never will happen. And then it'll show you either a positive or negative future. And the whole point of this is, if you go there and believe the simulation, they can train you to make any decision in life and make you think it's a good thing.
People could think, you show something great, people are going to do that. You could convince someone to do pretty much anything.
No, literally. And it's only going to be what benefits them ultimately, because they're creating it.
But they show you some amazing outcome, you're going to be like, oh, I want to do that.
Exactly. But the Akashic Records saying this is an Akashic Records of things that never happened or could happen, but was another timeline. They talk about the alt timelines. They have to justify all this bullshit by calling it, by throwing in the alt timelines or the infinite universe thing. It's all a deception. We have one universe, dog, and this is a temporary test because God is figuring out for good or evil.
Different dimensions, possibly, or
dimensions, but it's not like there's alternate Earths and alternate. There's not an alternate you somewhere who's got
I don't think so.
Who's in drag right now. There's I hope not.
Be. I'm gonna beat him up.
No, we're gonna time travel there right now and figure that out.
There's likely dimensions, in your opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of my view, too.
Now people go, oh, you don't believe in the spirit realm because you're saying the astral's fake. No, I don't believe in what we visit as the real astral.
Yeah.
There's a real spirit realm.
I'm not saying it's fake.
It's just, not at all. I'm just saying what we visit is going to be simulation the whole time. We're, when we're spirits after this, who knows what we'll be able to do. But we're not doing that now.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of it that's real. And that just seems to be the thing. Is so many things.
I would stay away from all this stuff. Like I said, knowing little about it, something I would.
I mean, it's fun if you
never went and talked to mediums. Never
It makes you feel powerful, man. And that's what I was
talked to one. Everyone kept saying, "This guy, he's getting everything right," but I'm like, I'm still not talking to him.
It's AI data analysis. Think about what your phone knows about you from just the ads.
Well, we know. Dude. We all know. We talk about something. We don't search it, and then we'll get like ads for it.
That's weird.
That's happened to all of us, I'm sure.
Now if you could access everybody's thoughts and memories, which your phone can't do. Do you think that a hive mind Borg AI could potentially fill out a lot of fake prophecies and make you think something? So then you get a prophetic dream. Boom. Oh my God. I guess consciousness is all connected. This is what the New Agers talk about. I must look into that. Yep. That's what prophetic dreams do to people. The Deuteronomy 13:1-3 says there will be prophets that I did not send who will get prophetic dreams that will come to pass. Not all of them, but they will come to pass. And it will make you go after other gods. He says, do not listen to them, for they are deceiving you. And it says, I am the Lord thy God, and I am sending a delusion to, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, I'm sending you a delusion, which you consented to when you did this, to test you to see if you love the Lord with all your heart and all your soul. So he tells you, you're going to be tested, but it's to test if your heart wants truth or deception that is self-aggrandizing and prideful.
Yeah, he says, worship no other gods but me. So it doesn't mean there isn't other gods, but he's the powerful.
He created all those gods.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the demons, whatever you want to call them.
It's the fallen angels.
Yeah.
When he says there are other gods, it's Elohim.
No, exactly, but they're God-like.
Compared to us, absolutely.
Compared to us,
But it's very clear in the Bible that those gods are little g gods, and they're not the creator beings. They are created by him, and they rebelled. That's the story there. So when he says gods, it's not giving them power like, oh, they're equal with me. It never is.
But they can get
That's why he's the most high.
In bad ways, it seems like.
Absolutely. No, and they'll offer you a lot of power and knowledge and stuff. Does that mean it's good? It's like giving a loaded shotgun to a crippled boy. It's like you shouldn't have that. He's already got a lot of enough problems to deal with.
That's the conclusion I'm coming to, or have been seeing the more you look at this.
Think about if you
seem great when you're getting knowledge that's very useful to you, or making
knowledge without wisdom will screw you up, man.
But look at the Apple that kind of shows you.
Yeah, those people are getting knowledge. Does it mean they have wisdom and they're doing good things with it? And
it's so crazy to put the Apple on our phone. It's like they put it right in front of our face.
It's silly, man.
They're not like hiding it.
No, but they have to do these little drops of symbolism because what it is people go, oh, it's the Gnostics go, oh, it's revelation of the method. They have to tell you because it's for balancing their karma. They're saying they believe that if you release it in some sort of clue, then that would lead.
It makes it justified?
Well, it's sort of, but it's more of that the person doing it now is free of the karmic responsibility of what happens from it, which is so stupid and unbalanced with other teachings they have. But that's what they tell you. Really, that's a cover up for the manifestation law, because if they show you this stuff and desensitize you to it, one, it gives you this kind of apathetic, like, oh, it's entertainment, and I don't, and if it gives you this, It exposes the world to it and allows them to think about it and consider it and then believe that that might manifest in the reality. And it makes people collectively give consents to allow these things to pass. I'm describing it not the best. I've done better, but I'm making the point that they covered up saying it's revelation of the method. But if karma is not real and everything I'm saying is relatively accurate within a biblical view of things, then they want you to believe that because that's more beneficial than you believing, no, you're manifesting these things. When you all go out and see this and think it's fun and entertainment and positive, these scary movies or these, tech takeovers, AI stuff, robotic takeovers of the future, that's all seems very mystical from now. But lately things are seeming, or the alien movies even. Dude, guess how many? Okay, there's over 200 alien movies. I'm going to be really quick about this. Movies and shows, over 200 of them. I looked this up. I think 50 of them are shows. 0 of those have a biblical demonic narrative here. And I think the meat suit theory, I lean towards their physical beings, yes, but we don't have to get into that. But all of them push literal aliens from another planet or dimension. Not a single one in the movies, not a single bit of the goy slop seems to push the biblical narrative almost strategically. And they're all funded by certain people.
we know the tribe.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Just lost my monetization for talking about that.
Yeah, well, I feel for you, bro, but we're going to get you back by getting even more controversial today, hopefully, and balance it out.
Just real quick before we go back in, Steven Spielberg has a new movie coming about.
Oh, yeah, any day now.
I think it's basically showing like, is the God of the universe or just us? So it's something, it looks like there's going to be a God above our God that comes in.
Exactly. People would call
this. They're really pushing this right now.
Biblical literate people would call this the potential great deception. And that's what I believe is correlated to. I think there's a lot of layers to it.
They're pushing that heavy right now.
But it's going to be derived, a lot of the backing to it and a lot of the reasons why people are going to be falling for it is because it's, I believe, going to come with spiritual experiences and downloads on a mass scale. And I think the Mark of the Beast has something to do with that. But I think overall, at some point, whether it be before or after that, there will be people getting mass spiritual. They're going to get memories of Atlantis. I bet you my bottom dollar they're going to get memories of Atlantis because so much crazy sci-fi stuff is going to happen so quick. They're going to need contact to normalize it.
Maybe sooner. I think they're going to do some kind of very heavy push with this.
Oh, I don't think it's far away, but I'm a crazy person. Don't listen to me.
Yeah,
no,
maybe within months, but I think within a few years, there's going to be some kind of crazy push.
We got years, But no, what do I know? I'm a little paranoid, but I definitely believe that, and I think that spiritual encounters will come alongside this stuff and will deceive people with the good feeling warmth of love. And they'll get a lot of these downloads.
Try to connect it with Jesus and stuff, even.
Absolutely. Well, I think that could be a very antichrist thing to do that, to have some Pleiadian Nordic Jesus show up. And there are already dichotomies of a good and evil, bad and good factions of these aliens, which are pre-programmed in the channel lore, the astral lore, the remote viewing lore. That is all maybe controlled simulations. All point towards these multiple factions because they want you to believe it's not a unified group. And I'll say this real quick, and I'm not going to delve into it because I'll go off the deep end. But the Nordics, the good guys in the lore, the ones who look like sexy, not the ones who look like me, but a lot more handsome, the German people, are said to be time-traveling us's from the future, and so are the Greys in another way, but that's a whole complicated thing. And they say that those are the good guys, and they're here to help us, and it's programmed in secret space program lore, which is also implanted memories. That's a whole other conversation. They planted in multiple types of lore, channeled, etc., remote viewing, but they are said to be seen with swastikas at times on their uniforms in these abductions, encounters.
Really?
They're seen to be... When they're channeled, the Pleiadians are channeled. They say to read the protocols of the Elders of Zion. They push they push anti-Zionism stuff, and they have swastikas. There's a lot of lore connecting them to the World War II Nazis. Completely, a lot of lore there. The real society look into it. Now, another weird thing is if they're the good guys and they're against the bad guys, and everybody in the world right now is getting anti-Semitic. And I'm not saying one way or the other. It's biblically prophesized to happen, and I'm not saying it's unjustified or not. But I do think they want you to be that way now, the elite that control things, and that's a little weird. Why would they want you to hate themselves?
No, it is strange. I mean, clearly they're doing evil stuff, but it is also strange that, like, I don't know.
I thought they controlled all the media and alt media. Why are the alt media controlled oppositions pushing the stuff all of a sudden right on schedule? It seems at the same time. It's a little weird. Not that I'm saying I support Israel in any sense of the matter, but it's still like, why do they want me to feel that way, and why is the whole world doing it? If the whole world's doing it, it's probably because they want you to. Now, the thing is here. If they're the good guys and they're the Nazis, is there any news coming out lately that's saying that there's a group of people on the earth that might be connected to alien bloodlines? I feel like I've seen ancestry stories. Yeah, I feel like I've seen a lot of stories drop. News is dropping. It's maybe planned information intel drops. Right. But what they're saying is that that some race, who knows, I bet we'll find out soon, is connected to the bad aliens. And they're going to say, I believe that the Greys and the Nordics, or the Greys and the Manses, the Reptilians, the bad aliens, are somehow using the certain group as proxies, and they're against the good guys who have swastikas on their uniforms. It's pre-programming you with this dichotomy, and they're both the same. They're both a coin, but it's two different sides of it, and they want you to stay within this Hegelian dialectic framework.
Republican.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Swastika is an old ancient sign.
I know it's been misused and reused.
Yeah, it's been old for thousands of years.
But now it's got some baggage, of course. But I think that they have the aliens already connected to these symbols and to these people, and I think it's going to come with a reveal that a certain group is a part of this, and if you worship the god of those people, you might be a problem. And if you want the whole world to hate Christians, I don't imagine any better way than to say the chosen people, which don't even worship Yahweh truly at all, sadly.
Yeah,
they're the people of the bad alien group. So that I just think that that's something that's coming. That's
something weird's coming. I don't know what to make.
It's gonna be weird.
Obviously, we can see what's happened to Israel and see it's bad, but it's still.
There's a narrative being played out at the bigger
it's
scale.
So bad where it's hard to believe. Like, is this like? It's like they're trying to. This level of such evil, they're trying to make people hate them.
I 100% agree, and you got to ask yourself why. Why is that?
No, it is
because if they're coming out with this thing soon and this big alien deception, it is going to be based on good cop, bad cop, and the bad cop is going to be Yahweh's people.
Yeah.
And it's gonna, chosen people, which aren't even messianic, so they're kind of outside the olive branch anyway, for the most part. But it's a complicated conversation. Anyway, that's a tangent I didn't expect to do, but I'm glad I did.
We'll try to stay on focus.
Yeah,
we'll have to do another podcast where you go off on random tangents because clearly there's a lot to talk about.
I have 4 parts of material. I'm working on 5 right now.
Wow.
And they're all 3 hours. Sorry. But the book's long. Sorry. And by the way, if anybody wants to find my book, it's free audiobook on YouTube and Spotify on my YouTube, Sethlehem_. It has funny voices. I'm mocking a lot of people, especially Dan Duvall. Sorry. And I chose funny voices. Master Shake is Dan Duvall from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And it's really good audiobook. It's 34 hours. I apologize.
It's awesome to keep it free. People could have somewhere to donate in case they want to.
No, just buy my book and read
it. Donate.
Don't give me money. Just give me support and spread the word about the astral stuff. It's cool. Well, it's not cool. It's bad. But you know what I'm saying. It's fun. The book's funny though. It's a little inappropriate. If you're a clean Christian, you're not going to like it. I'm trying to
read it.
I'm trying to convert New Agers and Gnostics, so I made it really. I'm a really inappropriate humor type.
I think
though.
the New Age is mostly deception.
I think it's all deception.
A lot of the people aren't bad people. I've knew in San Francisco.
I'm not saying
I can always tell there was something a little off with their beliefs.
They've bought into the deception, and it's very enticing, very alluring, very me, very everybody's accepted. I can be who I want, no stress. And I have many lives to figure out how to progress. I can just figure it out in the next 100 lives. I have infinite lives, so I don't need to rush to fix myself.
And lots of attractive girls are always into that.
I wonder if there's a correlation. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, man, I'm gonna keep moving. How long do you think we got? Because I want to keep it strong.
We have almost an hour. So.
Okay. That's not bad. When we got like 10, 15, let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know when we got like 20.
We're going to end with Bible wholesome stuff. Trust me, guys. But yeah, there's more. I'll cut to this one quick. So Robert, I use the Kurt Leland and Robert Monroe as the sources, but I use a couple other sources on the back end which are less detailed. And I talk about Robert Bruce in his book Astral Dynamics. He has 2 things I want to discuss real quick, and I guess I'll just summarize it. He talks about in the astral, if you're in the real time zone, which is his word for you're a ghost floating around the real world instead of going into a realm. And once you're in the real world and floating around, you can then go into anything as a portal and basically go to a deeper dimension, which is an instant shift to a deeper dimension.
Over there?
Sometimes they'll let you think you are, and then they'll come save you and then get you out. The guides, always. Yeah. They'll let you think you're stuck and they'll scare you. And then they'll save you, and then you go, oh, I guess I better always have my guides. Yeah. The guides are always there because they're controlling it, but they want you to think that they're not always there so that you feel like you're an individual, but they need you to accept that it's cool if they are always there because you're going to find out eventually that they're always there.
Yeah.
So they come to show up after you get scared for a little bit.
They want you to, then you want them there.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's layered, and it's a whole complex mind game they're playing, and it's hard to reverse engineer this for a lot of people, but I did it for you. Just believe me, I swear. Okay. But yeah, man, Robert Bruce talks about entering paintings. So if you got a painting, let's just
there's none.
There's not really. But if there's a painting of a peaceful meadow right behind you, you can go out of body right here, jump into it. He says, keep your mind blank when you do it. Just run into it, and it will create a virtual reality realm around you that is 3-dimensional and matching the painting exactly. He says that. So that's admitted simulation again. He says your subconscious mind tricks you into doing it. Not a demon controlling it, but your subconscious who's tricking you, which is weird. He then says, if you want, you can make it a little mood board, cut and paste out pictures of anybody you want or dead loved ones or whoever, put it on the painting, jump into the painting in the astral, and blammo, you'll see them there. And he says it might be a thought form of the person. It might not be really them. It might be your subconscious creation of them, but they will seem real and very real.
So it's really easy to get people to want to do this.
Yeah, it's like he's just telling people, put a lot of hot models on a poster and just go and bang them in the astral. It's a good idea.
That's a good sell. Or love.
It's not a succubus in the astral.
So it's easy to like sell this. You can see what people are like, wow, I can do this.
Well, he says it might be a thought form of the person, but if they're dead, he said it might be a way to summon them and talk to the real person, which is a sick and twisted thing to do anyway. I don't know why anyone would want to do that, but it's like he says you can do that, and I didn't believe it. I didn't try it because that was a little too dark for me. But I did try this next thing that he says you can do, and I'll tell my thing. But he says you can also, if you're in the real time zone before you go into a deeper realm, which I think the real time zone is also simulation. And people go, what about people getting visited in the astral by other people and they'll see their body? Because people will say that. And I'm like, well, two things here. One, how do we know that's them? Whenever demons all the time, if this is all true, can mask as ghosts to create mythology. They're creating stories. So they can mask as a dead person. Why can't they mask as you when you've given your sovereignty up and you're now getting a simulation through them because you did divination? What if they just show up as you to someone who's a seer or someone who's open because of their own occult practice, and boom, they'll think, oh, it's you. And then you'll get a simulation matching it at the same time where you're like, yeah, I visited this person. And the reason I believe this is because Robert Monroe will visit real people in the real time zone, and he'll have a whole conversation with the person, and they'll be conversating with him back and forth telepathically, and he'll see their body reacting to his presence while they're in the real time zone, while they're a real body and he's in the astral. Then he'll call them later, say, hey, did you remember that conversation we had? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? Why would he be seeing, like, then they make it seem like they're trying to tell you, no, you were talking to their higher self, connected to them, their soul. Their soul's not going to remember it because they're not connected like you are. So that's what they tell him to excuse that. But really, that doesn't make any sense because he's seeing their body react to his movements. It's not just hearing thoughts. It's that on top of the body thing. So it's like, that shows me more simulation in the real time zone. So I think that's fake too. And whenever I was going out of body a lot, I would go into a place. If I was somewhere I've been a lot, it would be like everything's the same and fine. When I started traveling far and going to places I've never been before, inside rooms, they would auto-generate in front of me. Things would generate. And I would...
Like, what do you mean? Just
like that couch would not be there. The floor would be. And then boom, the couch pops up. It was trippy as hell. And I thought it was just, it's just, something about the consciousness field is like slow to generate. That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, that's weird.
It's simulation. And I think I just went too far too fast. And they're like, oh, we got to catch up. And when it's in the simulations, it's already a crafted realm. You don't have to emulate it like something real, so they can go crazy with it. But with the real time zone, they have to be somewhat close to Earth. And people always describe the second heaven, the Christian version of the astral realm, which you shouldn't go to, as close enough to Earth, very similar, but different. Like, there'll be, instead of 8 buildings on this block, there'll be 9, but it'll be similar. But it's like they're close, but
little differences.
Just like sleep paralysis, we'll get there though. I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, man, so he also talks about going into mirrors, and he says if you go into a mirror in the astral, you will come out the other side portaling into an alternate dimension where everything is the same but mirrored. And I thought he was full of shit. I said, there's no freaking way. That's stupid and dumb, and I don't believe it. And then I tried it. So I did that one day, and I went through a mirror, and boom, I'm in a portal in an alternate dimension that's mirrored. Now, really, it's just they're switching it around and messing with you.
Things are just slightly mirrored.
Everything's the same, just mirrored, and it is unsettling instantly. It's very like creepy, and I didn't expect it. I actually didn't believe it would happen.
You're like,
I've been through mirrors before that happened and nothing happened, but now that my expectation was there, they read my mind and go, let's give it to them. That's weird. I didn't happen before. Now, I went in there and I'm looking at my body reversed because it's in the same room. And I'm like, wait a minute. If I go into that body right now, instead of going back through the mirror portal, am I going to be stuck in some alternate universe where I'm like crippled and gay now and right-handed? I'm left-handed. So it's like, that's the jokes I'm telling myself in my head right now. And then I get freaked out. And I think they're imposing this fear on me because I don't get scared from nothing.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But I go back through the portal and then boom, I go into my body and I'm like, that was a close one, guys. I almost got stuck in alternate universe.
Yeah.
That's how stupid I am and was and also am right now. So it's just, that's what this stuff does to your brain. It cooks you real hard. It's very silly. And so that's a real thing that happened to me, but it's also, fake and not real.
How many times did you?
At least 70 or 80. And I got pulled out at least a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, something like that.
Was there like a strangest or scariest experience? Was that the scariest?
I got possessed one time for like a minute or 2, and then I got my control back. But it was weird because my consciousness was like aware, and I was watching them control my body. It was very strange. And that was happening when I was trying to go out of body, and then, or I was taking a nap. I would get pulled out when I took naps because there was a whole there's a whole lore to that I don't need to get into. But I got possessed, and I was like, they were moving my body, and I was like, I'm not doing that. And I got freaked out. And that's one of the first things that happened to me, where I think I was close to giving them full control, which you have to consent to get full possession. You have to say, yes, I consent. Or
You have to give interesting.
To be demonized and influenced heavily and fully influenced, like mostly possessed, doesn't take consent, like direct. But direct consent is required. If you read Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin, it's very clear in his possession studies. Everybody says who got possessed fully, they knew, they agreed to it, whether they fully understood it or not. They all admit to that. And they coax you into this by asking
Lex Wexner, I don't know who he is. He said he had a demon. This is the guy who like Jeffrey Epstein probably worked for. He even admitted to having a demon with him from like a young age. Like stuff like that's bizarre.
You know, it's funny.
This is a billionaire, not some random guy.
No, it happens to people all the time, especially successful people who would be better assets than the poors, right? You would think I'd go for the more powerful people.
But
it makes
he
sense.
admitted that he was possessed by a demon from a young age.
Yeah, it happens, man. It happened to me. It can happen to you. Be careful. Now,
and Brian, I watched him. He showed me some videos. He doesn't show publicly. Some crazy.
Oh, we're doing a big old documentary. Well,
seeing some of the stuff he showed me, like I never believed in that stuff. Seeing some of his stuff, I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
And it's a lot more the deliverance thing. You know, we're not going to get into it. That's like part 2 material. But if anybody wants to watch, me and Brian should have out soon a podcast documentary thing about breaking down the deception and deliverance and how the New Age deliverance and the Dan Duval type stuff, which I cover, and then also even regular normal quote unquote deliverance is mostly witchcraft and problematic. And it's based on demons deceiving you with acting in false strategic leaving of your body to make you think you healed them with a false method, teaching you methodology by playing to your pride and making you do witchcraft and channel. That's what most of it is. I don't think all of it. Healing comes from within and forgiveness of yourself and others and other things, Christ and faith. I'm not summarizing it well, but that's like...
You believe simply Christ and the Bible is the only way.
Absolutely, and there's tons of evidence for that, and I'd love to send you some resources, but if the whole thing about this astral lore, if my theories are right and the simulation stuff is true, and not only are they, if they're doing it to create fake realms, which is my whole theory, then they're creating the fake realms, and the lore that comes along with it, which we haven't dove into too much, is Gnostic completely, reincarnation-based completely, and if that's fake, and they want you to believe, and they're willing to go through great lengths for tons of people to convince them, great detailed lengths for decades, that means they might be exactly what the Bible describes as biblical demons, because that's the best justification for that whole lore in the Bible, and we're going to get to Bible stuff in a bit, but it completely validates Christianity in a way that I haven't seen anybody else do, talking about this vision control concept, which the Bible tells us they have this control. The Bible tells us. We'll get to that. It's just not as detailed. But you brought up the possession thing. It's important because guess what? I don't know why people don't talk about this. I've never heard anybody cover it, but Bob Monroe, his Godhead, was conversating with him, his peaceful Godhead he'd had for a lot of years, which is a culmination of his many incarnations into a hive mind, admittedly so, asked him one time, they say to him, they offer him more psychic abilities besides the out-of-body travel stuff, and they're offering it to him because they have the ability to offer you that, by the way, just like demons do. Same thing. And he goes, which they're outside of time and can know the future, so I don't know why they asked if they didn't get an answer in the affirmative. It's very strange. But he goes, he denies them. He says, no, I'm good. I have enough going on with the astral travel stuff. I kind of respect that. Yeah. He's not like, I want all the power. He's kind of like, no, I got enough in my hands, which he does. So he says, no, I'm good. Thanks. And which is a nice way to turn them down. And then he goes, his Godhead says, we did not believe those were needed. Bitch, why'd you ask? What do you mean? You're outside of time. You know what he was going to say, right? Anyway, but he says, but if you want one of us to use your body and talk while you go somewhere else, just relax and go to sleep. Why is my Godhead outside of time, perfect version of myself, culmination of my hive mind? Why is he trying to possess my body? And he didn't even say why. And what is the possible goal? And why is he asking for my consent as if he needs it? Because he needs it because consent law demonically in the Bible is very clear. So he was asking for consent. Guess what Bob says? No, I don't want to be a channel. That's not a route to freedom as I see it. The nicest way to turn down a demon asking you to possess him, this is a Godhead asking to possess you. What the hell? Like, that is demonic as if I ever heard it. Why does he need to do it? What, like he's just desperate for the material world. Their dream job is possessing a human body. They want to be in the material realm. Dude, the hive mind is not fun. It's not fun at all. They want to be outside of that, and the best way is possess.
So I recommend always say no.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Don't ever give up your sovereignty of your body. It's not cool. So yeah, man, there's more. There's Focus 27, which Bob talks about, and Focus 27 is his word for a specific realm. And he has Focus 15, 10, 12, 15, 21, 22, 23, 24, up to like 50 something. He skips some and says that they're like each different areas of the astral accessed by different ways. He tries to map it, but everybody maps it very differently. They have no matching stuff. It's weird. But he says, it's basically this dream world where it's admittedly a simulation again, where you can create whatever you want, and it's like Mormon heaven. You're the god, you can create whatever you want, but it has consistent structure. So you don't have to like hold your thoughts on it. Like if you want to create a waterfall, you just think of it and boom, it'll manifest.
It stays there. You don't have to think.
But it'll be realer than reality. They constantly say real, super real.
Put a waterfall right there, right now.
Yeah. So, or is it a demon reading your mind and generating what you want? That's the other side of it.
Exactly.
Now, Bob says in here, each individual is invited to create his own personal and special place within Focus 27. He's discussing his Monroe Institute Wizard School attendees who all do this. All of them do this easily. A place to which he may return at will. The forms that these places take are as varied and unique as the participants themselves, ranging from log cabins by quiet streams to clumps of trees, South Sea islands and palaces of crystal, and corners of one's heart. He's saying that you can create these realms and create whatever you want. Bob visits his friend Charlie, who died. And when you die, you have the option. You can reincarnate and plan your incarnation and learn stuff. Or if you want, you can take a vacation and go to your own dream world. It's hedonistic central. You can do whatever you want, baby. And that's where his friend Charlie is because he's dead. And it could be a demon masking as Charlie, but who knows? It's theoretical right now. And he goes and visits Charlie. And Charlie's there with his thought form wife, who's a made-up person by his own creation. And she has autonomy. And he's banging her out. Like, it doesn't say that, but it's implied because he's there with a woman. But she's not real, and he knows that. So
he just created some...
So he created a woman with a consciousness that may not be real, but it's like, what is that? Like, how can you do that? That's pretty godlike. They're trying to make you think you're your own god again, constantly. Very Mormon stuff there. And then it says, back to the guides always being there thing. They say that in this place, in your own personal dream world, somehow you're not alone. The guidance that may be requested according to our participants in many different forms. It may appear externally or sensed internally. It may be constant through all the experiences or may change from time to time. Reports include mention of a glowing white shape, an individual called Sam, a hooded figure who revealed himself as a famous film star, a little dog, the color blue, and a human hand and voices saying, "We are here." Some participants do not see guidance as separate from themselves in any way. Guidance and I are one, as one report says. Now, this is a goofy description of the characters revealing themselves in the fake realm. These are the same guides, same characters, but they're presenting themselves as goofy little dog, the color blue. I don't know how that makes sense.
So it seems unthreatening.
That, but also because then it distinguishes itself from the real astral. Because look, they're all goofy here, but in the astral, they have solidified, they're either light beings and just a ball of light, or they have a form of like a humanoid type or alien type being, and they have a form, but it's consistent. Here, they're going to get goofy with it to remind you they're different. They're not the same. We're being silly here because we can, but they can always do that. They're just trying to diverge it, just like the lucidity level control they do in the other material. I know I'm talking fast and it's hard to follow, I bet.
No, it's all good. I'm following most of it.
You're doing great.
This is all brand new to me, so
I know. I know it's a lot, and I'm like, I'm
processing most of it. It's just a lot coming in.
I understand how I sound to the
have
people.
Some questions at the end, but we'll
feel free. Yeah, I'm letting you know I'm aware and I know how I sound, and I'm sorry.
No, I'm processing 95% of it.
Hell yeah, man. That's good. All right. So we got a couple more bangers here. This is more the story elements, not just this, like, what are they doing? What are they deceiving you with? This is a really weird one, kind of creepy. So in this one, Bob is talking to his Godhead again, the same one that tried to possess him, and it's asking him for help. They're saying, you're the guy, you're the chosen one, you're special, and it's funny because they ask him to do this mission, but they also say, yeah, we want you to do this mission, which I'll get into, but just in case, you're sharing a soul with a woman on the planet across in another continent, and she's our backup in case you fail. But we want you to do it, but just in case.
A soul.
That's also not taught in ancient Eastern reincarnation beliefs. They say you can't share soul, it's sequential, but it's funny because in the modern channeled stuff that gets more crazy and goofy, it diverges from the original teachings of reincarnation in many ways. One is sharing a soul, which they say now you can do, which is ironic because these are all based on entity contacts and channeled information, all of this. So why are they telling people the past different stuff and updating it for modern audiences?
You can use it, exactly. They want to adjust it a little bit.
Exactly. Because, people now can get a little bit more crazy stuff because they are more manipulative.
Things will change with the time a little bit.
Yeah, because things are getting crazy out here. They can adjust
like different. Every culture, every society, there's always these crazy things they see, but sometimes they're called aliens, sometimes they're elves, sometimes they're demons.
And they don't want to be traced to the same ancient source, so they got to diverge. They got to throw their eggs in different baskets.
Changes what they are, but there's always something visiting humans, and that's when I started realizing like, oh, something is real. Every culture has had it.
And how much of it is astral simulations that feel realer than reality? And you wake up and you got a false memory in you, and you think it was a real experience, but
they can implant memories. And that's like MK Ultra was doing that.
Exactly. But I don't think it's tech doing it. I think tech helps open you up and torture helps open you up, but they're opening you up to demons doing the legwork. That's my personal belief here. And they can do it, as I've proven in this lore, all these simulations. They can download a non-autonomous, fully packed memory without even having to adjust and generate around it.
Was if MK can ultra it, then of course these things could do it. If humans had been able to figure out how to do it,
and none of this is new. None of this is new at all. It's just rebranded or maybe more streamlined in certain ways.
Thousands of years of stuff goes.
Yeah, man. Beginning. So anyway, his guide is asking for help. He says your mission is, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically, we're done with Earth. We've learned enough. We're like evolved. You need to find a new dimension, planet, universe, whatever, because they're infinite. There's forever. New one to find for us to incarnate on, and we're going to start over. And
Mars?
No, like a new dimension
or
galaxy, like far. Like they're like, you need to travel the astral and find it. And I'm like, first of all, you're outside of time, and you have all these characters. Why can't you do it?
Exactly.
Doesn't make any sense. But they're like, no, you got to do it. You're special. And so that's one of his goals. And he gets nervous. He's like, this is a lot of pressure on my feeble astral shoulders. I can't handle this. And he's like getting like kind of worked up about it. And they're like, no, it's fine. We got you. Calm down, because he's freaking out. And they say, we can help you with that. We can show you a sample of the support you have in here in our own cluster. Do you wish to see this? Bob goes, please, ... like a bitch. And then he says, he's describing this kind of loosely and not poetically, just like a string of experiences. It's not like it's kind of trippy. So he says, thousands of hands reaching out to touch me, eyes staring at me with joy and hope, overwhelming radiance I know is love, sweeping over into every part of my being. We talked about that. All of these I am, we are, and emotion, from the bittersweet smell of success to the pain of parting, mixed with the fun and laughter, the anger of ignorance, the blindness of belief without foundation, the beauty of the sound of singing voices. His Godhead says, does that help you? He goes, it does. Is there more? Which is so depressing. It's like they're trying to cheer him up. So they show him a controlled vision of his Godhead, all hymns from other lives, in a little wormy fish barrel, looking up at him, go, hey, we love you. Like he's at a concert and he's on stage, and like, you're doing great. You're kicking ass. And they fill him up with the sweet juice of love.
Important.
They fill him up with the sweet juice of love. They constantly are filling you up with good emotions as they're manipulating you to make you go along with what they want. It's kind of sick and twisted. And that is how they're convincing him to carry on.
There's a manipulation.
And he feels good. He's like, this feels good. I'm good now. I'll do whatever you say. Yeah, it's a drug, and it's kind of scary that they're going through those means. Right after that moment in his, I think, second book, he is maybe third. He's out in the astral traveling, looking for this place. He doesn't do it the whole time, but he talks about it a little bit. And he's looking around, roaming the universe infinitely. The simulation capabilities are endless, like I said. He's alone, quote unquote. He thinks he's alone. He's then frozen in place, cannot move his body at all by an invisible force. He then hears a voice in his head, doesn't see a being. He hears a voice in his head, which he describes as like cold and, rude and stuff. And then this is what the entity says in his head. I am the Lord thy God whom you serve. It's a thy he's using, so obviously this is Yahweh of the Bible, because he speaks King James Version. We know this. So he says that, and then just like the last vision, kind of loosely described, he says, a feeling of intense pressure as if I'm dissolving. Now I'm in water. My lungs are full of water. I must have air. Get rid of the water. No, it can't be. It isn't so. There is no water. I have no lungs, because he's in the astral. I'm being made to think that's where I am. There you go, Bob. You're getting it. Then he says, it's an influence. I know it's not so. The pressure releases. I can feel fingers of energy probing from the core of me. I can stop this. Close the receptors. Close tight. I remember how. God says, quote unquote, you do not remember. You do not remember. He's yelling at Bob. Kind of pathetic. He says, but I do. I remember the tests. They were so real. I'm ready for this demanding energy. It cannot harm or affect me. But what's this? What God can this be? And he says, it cannot harm me again. It cannot harm you. It put you in a headlock and made you think you were drowning. And again, lucidity dimmed, not admitted, but lucidity dimmed because he believed it for a minute. And then he goes, wait, I know what's happening, which they probably allowed him to think that too.
Dim you whenever.
Up and down. Like. And it's strategically done to make you come to certain conclusions on your own. This whole thing. You have to come to conclusions on your own because it's more convincing to the rest of the world when you become an asset to share it with them other than being told. That's why the experiential aspect of this is so important. That's why the deception is so deep. And then God says, Do you not accept me as your God? Classic Yahweh move. The idea of a God that threatens amuses me. I let this idea flow out. Do you not fear me? Gotta be the guy. I release a picture of me blowing apart again and again to a million fragments and reconstituting after every explosion. You're damned. You are no more than wasted energy of me who is your Lord. And then it says the energy fades to a tiny point and vanishes. Now, if this is a simulation, they're trying to make you think that was Yahweh, throwing in the thighs and the do you not fear me and the classic Bible lines that are taken out of context. And then he somehow defeats Yahweh, who is the demiurge according to the Gnostics, the evil god. He defeats him and banishes him via a mental fart where he imagines himself exploding and then recollecting himself and exploding by sending him in like a thought energy thing at him. And that's how he defeated the demiurge, little old Bob. Now, if this is a simulation, it's all theatrics. They're trying to not only make you think Yahweh's a total douche, which he's not, love that guy, but they're also trying to make you think that you're just as, if not more powerful. It's also the whole.
Sounds like
we're all
the
powerful.
rabbi is trying to outsmart God,
dude. It's insane, and they're making Yahweh, who undeniably, if he's evil, is highly intelligent, highly created so much. And he's talking like a angsty teenager here. Like it's pathetic. Like it's really like embarrassing. And he bought this. He's believing it and he feels so powerful. And it's giving a bad press campaign for God, which they do in the next section I'm going to cover. And then they do in another part, which I'm not covering today.
Real quick, I just want to add, people might not know, there's like some of the Gnostics, they believe like Yahweh was like the evil God. And there's like a God above him that's good, correct? So they think like he's bad. He's the one that created the world. And then there's a God above him. So that's
but outside this realm, but could involve themselves, but don't because they're just like out of the mix. And what's funny is Bob, and I don't cover this in this presentation, but it's a major part that I probably should. It's just convoluted, but I'll give you the short version is one of these rotes that Bob gets, one of the download memory packets is he gets a rote from an astral entity just accidentally. It's literally described as an astral brochure from an alien planet because an alien planet group of spirit beings come on tour to many planets around the galaxy and their last stop is Earth. And they have brochures that are rotes that are like metaphysical brochures. And he gives it to Bob, just like, hey, check this out. And it like didn't mean to share, didn't mean to make anything of it. And it's the history of Earth. And the history of Earth is the Gnostic story completely with the demiurge in this simulation that is giving you the Gnostic story laid out. But it doesn't align with other people's stories of the Gnostic origin story. It gives a slightly different version, but same theme. The themes align, the details diverge heavily. He gives him a whole rote and he has a whole 20, 30 page chapter on it in book 2. And he says it was very depressing to read because he's like, this is sad. But then they spin it positive in the 3rd book. It's very dark. But yeah, the astral beings are giving you downloads to make you believe in Gnosticism. So if it's true, why do these deceptive beings feed it to you right into your skull? Kind of seems like a propaganda tactic. I don't know. Propaganda exists in the real realm. Why would we not think it exists in the astral where these people are smarter, I think. That's what I think is going on here. And there's many, many examples I can name. But I got to move on. Sorry. So he just defeated.
Yeah, we got about 20
20?
So
all right.
We got 25 minutes.
You know what?
Okay, someone else after this, but we can.
25? I can do that.
Maybe hit up to 30.
I can do that.
No.
All right. Dang, this one's crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy. I want to read it. Yeah,
we can go.
I'm going to read this one real quick.
We go a few minutes over.
We're going to be done with the astral stuff. Actually, I got to read this one. No,
do a few random questions I want to hit too. It's so much interest. We'll have to do another podcast on some.
I have so much, brother. I'll do one more and then we'll jump into the sides, the like NDE, the DMT stuff, and then we'll go to the Bible because we need to end it like that. Hardcore stuff. Okay, so there's this one in Leland's book where he talks, I call it memory theft in the astral hot tub. And it says, a shade, which is his name for a ghost who died and is in the healing realms, which he describes as a spa. It's a healing spa in the astral. And he says, a ghost, was seated by the side of the plunge. She was unaware of my presence, yet I had no trouble reading her thoughts. She was about to go back into the memories of a particular time in her life. Apparently, the function of the spa region was to give shades an opportunity to heal themselves by remembering difficult events and figuring out why they occurred. Somehow, I accompanied the woman into her memories, which both of us experienced as if they were happening right now for the first time. So in the astral, she's not summoning him. She doesn't even know he's there, and he's sneaking up on her, and he doesn't try to, but something pulls him into her memory, which he lives as if it was his own for the first time in full detail. So another version of living someone else's memories without even anybody instigating it unless it's a guided simulation. Now, this is just a prequel to stuff I cover in part 2 and 3 where there's many examples of people admitting they are getting past life memories that do not belong to them, admitting constantly. There's so many examples, but they think some of them are real, but a lot of them are fake. That is not good. I break down the whole thing and why it's all deception, but that's for later. Now, I'm going to jump out of the astral stuff and just start going crazy on correlated things, because my book covers not just astral stuff. That's the best evidence directly, but there's also holistic healing visions, which are propping up in these fake healings. And when you cross-examine, they cannot coexist with each other. The lore coming out of these healings cannot coexist. I cover NDEs, and I cover remote viewing, and I cover channeling information, etc. I cover all these things and how they have the same patterns of what I'm talking about here. And in NDEs, before the NDE thing, I talk about sleep paralysis, and this is something that a lot of people are interested in. And this is
a lot of it. I've only had it a couple times, but it's like very strange when it happens.
Well, if anybody who's listening has had this happen, which a lot of people have,
most people, I think, right? Maybe
most
not.
people. I'd say quite a few. I know
I don't get it often, but it's not fun.
Most people have had it at least one point in their life, and I've had it a number of times, but Jesus healed me, so I'm good now. But anyway, this idea is from Vicki Joy Anderson. I'm going to add my own flair and spice onto it in a second, but she comes up with this theory that I totally subscribe to and aligns completely with my simulation theory. She talks about, she's had, and she's an angel, by the way, I love her, Vicki Joy Anderson. She talks about having tons of sleep paralysis episodes, tons of shadow people, Hat Man experiences, and she's interviewed tons of people who have as well. So she got data from her own experiences and a bunch of other people's. She says she believes they're simulations, and when you're frozen, your body's frozen, it's actually your astral body, and they're making a room that is a simulation that matches your room to make you think it's real. So when you open your eyes, you're opening your astral eyes, you're seeing a simulation that looks real. Like I said, this is all realer than reality. This is possible. But you feel like it's a real, and you feel like you're being suffocated. Again, a sensation being impressed upon you. Not always happens, but, and you'll see shadow people in these physical manifestations. But if this is a simulation, those are just astral simulations manifesting themselves. I'm not saying you can't have an entity manifest physically, but this is like, this is a common thing here that might just be totally fake. Now, the reason we believe this is because you have tons of people, including herself, saying, after a while, like, yeah, it would be scary and I'd be distracted, but after a while, I started to get less scared, so I'd look around the room more. I'd be more observant. What is something she caught, and many other people, they catch a window might be a few feet away from where it usually is. An object that might appear in the room that not owned by that person, or something disappear, or furniture moved feet over from where it's supposed to be. Things will be out of place to where it cannot be the same place, especially if it's happened many times to many people. It's too many patterns. If that's true, this is an astral experience meant to, do a number of things. Sometimes they use it to get you out of body and try to convince you to. Sometimes they just do it to scare you, and that's the loosh harvesting thing, which, by the way, the Gnostics want you to think that's the key reason for all this lower astral entity activity, is they want your loosh and your resources, the archons. They don't actually care about your soul gravitating away from Jesus. No, that doesn't matter. It's just about resources. That's all it is. That's what they want you to believe in.
David Icke's theory as well.
Yeah, that's he also channeled a lot of his information. He channeled aliens, by the way, just putting it out there.
Really?
David Icke, problematic stuff there. But I agree with him on a lot of other things.
I was going to say, I do think he's gotten a lot of
in the conspiracy realm,
He's actually...
But reptilians are a cover-up.
Times, and first 5 times I was crazy. Then he started getting a lot of things she predicted kept being right.
Well, they're going to let their asset do their work for them, because he's an asset for them. Because guess what? The reptilian shapeshifter lore is all a cover-up for demonic possession. All the experiences of demons, seeing them shapeshift are all like SRA MKU victims who have had probably implanted memories because they try to recover these. I've never heard one of like a conscious memory that seemed to not come from a recovered memory.
Yeah.
It's all this shapeshifter.
I've seen some of their abusers, but they were sexually abused.
And it's like they're opened up. I'm sorry. I can't trust all of your memories.
Yes.
The abuse is real. The abuse is real.
But possibly things.
It's hard for people to understand this because it feels insulting, but it's really not. It's actually trying to help people get past healing, which would be so much more beneficial if we found out a lot of it's fake, or at least the more crazy SSP, Water Kingdom, really crazy lore, at least. And some of the torture stuff might be fake too, and there's reason to believe that.
Could be real, unfortunately.
Although a lot of it is. I'm saying a lot of it is.
It's
case by case.
Separate.
It's a whole thing we don't need to do right now. Absolutely. But anyway.
That's a whole way separate.
I know a lot about it though. Anyway, so the problem with this is if sleep paralysis is a simulation most of the time, if not all, there's some weird stories that come out of it that have some implications if they're true, or depending on which angle you look at it from. One thing that many people have reported is seeing gray aliens in their sleep paralysis episodes, not just shadow people, right? Now, here's a thing I've heard a number of times that is very insightful if this is a simulation. They will see a gray alien, and it will look kind of surprised that you see them. They're like, oh, shoot, like, oh, no, you're not supposed to see me. And then they'll press a button on their belt, a technological button, and they will shapeshift into a shadow person.
Wow,
Many people have said this. Now, if that's a simulation, that means they're trying to convince you that the spiritual phenomena of these demonic things and these simulations are actually just physical aliens who have a crazy amount of manpower to have that return on investment for what? For that?
Yeah, like why
to
would they
millions
be
of
there
people all the
doing
time?
that?
That's a crazy return on investment and kind of dumb, like logistically for the demons. I mean, for the aliens, if that's real. Now, if that's just, it doesn't make any sense. But in a simulation theory, it's like, oh, they're trying to make me think this is all aliens and it's not actually spiritual. That's a sick, twisted game, and it's kind of smart. If that's,
Did you see the demon that Aleister Crowley summoned? It looked like what we'd call a gray.
oh yeah, the
Lamb.
Ayahuasca from
Lamb,
19
I
yeah,
think he
or
called it.
Lamb and the Ayahuasca I think is another name for it or
Yeah.
something else. Or
It looks just like
multiple
what we call
entities.
grays now.
Yeah, it's the same thing, and you know they're pre-programming themselves in that lore in early 1900s when that happened, because they made themselves more known with the more Roswell stuff a couple decades later. It was always, I think this stuff has always been planned for a long time. They've been just preparing it for the right time.
They'll plan stuff hundreds, if not thousands of years.
They have
It's
nothing
hard
better
for
to
us-
do. They're
It's hard
ancient-
for us
dude.
to like have that concept, but you start realizing, oh, they're just slowly moving things.
And that's all they have to do is to take it's to be an enemy of the Lord and Jesus ultimately and deceive us into basically ruining our soul's path. That's the ultimate goal, and they want you to think it's
And the
about
ultimate
loosh.
way fighting them is through Jesus.
I mean,
We have to
picking
other
this
things obviously
it's-
too.
You're either listen, if Christianity's right, if my theories are right here, it's validating Christianity very much so. If that's true, you are either, the Bible's very clear, you're either with Jesus, with God, or you're against him. There's no middle ground. And some people think that's unfair, but they don't understand the ramifications if we have a collective society of people thinking there's some middle ground. No, they're going to be deceived by the other side. There is no middle ground. You're either one or the other, and that's something I'm very passionate about. And I'm coming from I'm an ex-Gnostic, ex-New Ager. I was doing it, all the dumb stuff. And this is what I came to after my own experiences and researching it. And the Bible is all the misconceptions I had about it. I've tried to find incompatibilities and all these problems with it. And there's only contradictions if you really take it out of context. Everything in context hermeneutically in the Bible, I think is fully justified. And I love Yahweh, and he is Jesus. So it's the same guy. Yeah, that's what I believe. There's more. We got, this one's crazy. I'll be quick. I get into NDEs more, but I'll just cover one. This is Sean Tabbitt's thing. I'm stealing his thing. Shout out Sean Tabbitt. Cool guy. He talks about Brian Melvin's NDE. In this NDE, Brian Melvin dies and goes to some heaven-like realm. He describes it like a childhood home, and it's very peaceful. And he has his dead loved ones there greeting him, and they're very like, oh, so happy to see you. Let's have a little barbecue or something. They're hanging out and having a good time. After a little bit in this NDE, he ends up seeing everything around him morph. And his setting completely morphs into some hellish type realm. He doesn't really get in the details from what I remember too much, but describes it as hellish and says that the loved ones morphed into demonic serpent-like type creatures. Now, and then he got resuscitated soon after that. So here's the takeaway from that, because a lot of NDEs promote New Age concepts constantly. Not all of them. Some of them I think are truly from God, and I think that has to do with who gets which side. I think it has to do with where your soul was already aligned, probably. I'd have to do more math on that to see if that lines up with the lore. But if that's NDE and that was a fake heaven vision given to him by deceptive entities who are obviously evil, and then they morph it into that, obviously it's not good. Faking being evil, that doesn't make any sense. So it's the other way around. If that's happening, how many NDEs are people having that are in the New Age or any kind that are having a positive experience and they're getting resuscitated before the transition happened?
Probably a lot.
Probably a lot.
Mhm.
And the fact that happened should be taking every NDE people use as a positive New Age story in a different context, because all these people are resuscitated. So you have to imagine if they can do that, then you have to understand that deception is like happening by these deceptive entities. And I'll talk about more
I
of,
think some people want to talk to dead loved ones, but it's just you should not be trying to summon dead loved ones.
and you're not going to summon them. You're going to summon a faker who had data on them and
like they're them. Exactly.
because they had their data, because they're a hive mind and they will remember all these things, and then they can portray them pretty accurately.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's tons of examples of that. And now we're on the fun stuff that people love to hear about, DMT Lockout. Now,
That's the easy way to cross over.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And what I believe
How hard is it to astral plane? Or, by the way, is it easy? Is it fairly easy? Or?
there's layers to answer that question. I'll be quick though. It took me a couple months to get like prolific at it, to where I'm doing it like a couple times a week, and I tried every day pretty much. But I think it's all entity facilitated at the end of the day. It's not like it's you doing it. You're doing the ritual.
Some people
You're
can
consenting.
cross it over a lot quicker than others, probably.
I think if you're more likely to be an asset, or you are an asset, you will be pulled out more. But if they think that you are I'm not trying to get a big head here, but I was aware of spiritual deception and fake entities before while I was doing this. I just thought it wasn't all that, you know?
Yeah.
So I was very aware of deception because I read a lot of books about these exact things, but I thought, oh, I'll just attract the good guys.
Yeah.
If they're bad, I'll know. I was so aware of it more than most astral travelers that I don't think they wasted the time of trying to deceive me because they knew it wouldn't work because I knew the patterns.
Paying attention.
I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm a genius and I knew everything.
Yeah, but
but
you just knew to look out for things.
But I was more discerning than most people who were dumb enough to still go out of body. And I don't think they tried that stuff with me, but they did try to possess me and they did try to do other things with me and give me simulations.
Hey, let me possess you. No thanks, I'll pass.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of like sex dreams, succubus encounters, and like them trying to.
Women,
dude,
men don't love beautiful women. That's our weakness.
That's my weakness. I mean, right now I've mostly defeated the sex demons, but that was always
I struggled for years.
That was my biggest.
Kick that, but it's a hard one
because we're a couple of cool guys. We like to have a good time.
Like beautiful women, like how do you know?
Yeah,
I struggled with that.
Of all the weaknesses to have, it's a cooler one than others.
It could be worse. At least like a porn addiction or
yeah, that one's dark too. Yeah, I had to defeat that demon
really
too.
Dark, yeah.
That stuff.
I grew up in a generation before, so your generation I didn't realize.
Oh my god.
Not to get off subject, but I guess I couldn't imagine on my phone at your age having, not your age, like 12.
Like 3 years, 4 years younger than me is the worst. Like if you like grew up with an iPhone.
Like 11, 12, I go, oh my God, I would have fallen into that.
I didn't get access to that stuff till I was like at least 15 or 16 or 17.
But it's a bad.
But if you start with that as a
kid, have that access. Thank God. So for me,
it's all it's demonic, bro.
I was big. I was famous, fighting, had girls, thank God, and never fell into that porn addiction. But I guess it's really bad right now.
Especially with all the incels out there, which, that's part of our cultures. Ingraining it in our culture on purpose, of course, to divide us and make us hate each other. It's a whole lot of things. But yeah, man, DMT Lockout, this is a big deal because I like to think I have the most sensical explanation for DMT Lockout and what's going on. Now, I do, of course, believe unified theory. It's all simulation. They give different archetypes, in my opinion, to DMT, like the jesters and the machine elves and these characters that you only hear about.
Reptilians will come through.
Well, those you'll see in abductions too. But yes, those too. But these are things that you typically will only see on DMT, maybe salvia sometimes, which is a whole other crazy rabbit hole.
DMT and ayahuasca are almost the same thing.
Yes, but
for people who don't know.
Exactly. So I think they give archetypes to different things so that you think that these drugs are getting you to these realms and these drugs are getting you to these realms. And it's like so infinite. There's so much out there. And these are the weirder realms that these drugs take you to.
But you think they're all the same entities?
All the same, giving you different stuff. And if anybody's had a DMT trip, the elaborate simulations you see, if they are simulations, the elaborate stuff you see is so wild. That is the capabilities we're talking about here.
It doesn't feel fake, like I did an acid shroom, I did that, I'm like, whoa, this is real.
And what do the travelers say about the simulations?
It's real.
They get lost in it. They think they're the Count of Monte Cristo. I'm
not going to say it's all bad, but I'd recommend not to do it. And also, like ayahuasca, for example, you need a guide. How can you trust your guide? People go down there with random guides.
Dude,
imagine how bad they can fuck with people's heads and stuff.
He cost $200 for the session. He got to be good.
Yeah, and grab this guy from my guy, and you were just taken to this place with some random dude you just met. You don't know if he's demonic or not.
I mean, absolutely. And you can say you're doing it in the name of Christ, and it's like, well, you're still doing divination in the name of Christ, so it's not really you're not gonna get the protection you think you are. So people do that, as well. Some of these shaman types. But yeah, DMT Lockout, man. Here's the thing. That's my theory simulation, but people, if anybody doesn't know, there's been some stories that blew up a few months ago. I kind of went baby viral for my post on it because I was trying to address Andrew Gallimore and Danny Goller, the top DMT promoters and researchers, and they're doing these long extended DMT state studies, and they're not really into the Christianity stuff. Andrew Gallimore is more secular, I believe, and Danny Goller is very, very new age and believes everything entities show him in simulations. And I've tried to be nice. Talk to me, guys. I've been texting you on Instagram. Anyway, so I'm trying to network here. Sorry. So they
that's the point of doing podcasts.
I really got to play the game, But anyway, they by the way, I've never heard any of them talk about any of their people getting DMT lockout, and they're doing it more than most people. So keep that in mind when I say this, because I'm saying if they're assets, this is the rules are changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people do DMT, and eventually after doing it dozens, sometimes less, sometimes way more, like hundreds of times, eventually they are meeting an entity that they've seen a bunch of times, probably same entities, and they will eventually they'll get annoyed, and they'll say, hey, you're just coming here for no reason, and you're wasting our time, and you're not really doing, they say, you're not really here to learn anything, and you're just coming for fun, and they'll ban them.
What are you doing here?
And
they ask, what are you doing here?
And they'll say, oh, you're not coming here to learn. They act like they care about your spiritual education. That's what they say it's about. It's about that. But I'll tell you what I think it's about. So they will
get angry at you too.
Yeah, they do.
Want to jump in like, oh, should I better learn? Like,
you know,
what are you doing here with not wanting anything?
People should have known this was demonic when you hear all those black guys talking about doing DMT and getting called the N-word by the astral jesters. That's how you should know.
I heard that. I'm looking this up.
No, they're
just doing here.
Dude, that's kind of hilarious.
This up.
Yeah, but that's the things that happen, and people don't get into the lore and research it. So what's happening here, in my opinion, they kick you out, and boom, right when they say you're banned, they snap their fingers essentially, and your trip is over. You're back in your body. That means they were in control of the experience, obviously, or that wouldn't be happening. More evidence of this is these people try to get back. They try to smoke a ton. People will smoke 10 or 20x their usual amount to get out of body, and nothing will happen except the visuals.
I've never heard of people getting banned. They can.
You didn't know this? Oh, I'm going to trip you out, bro. No, okay, so...
I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was experimenting.
It went viral a few weeks ago.
I was hitting it, not really realizing what I was doing, and it was just boom, I was in another, like instantly in another place.
And you got a podcast. They want to get to you, bro. You got to be careful.
I was doing this like a while ago.
Oh, true.
I did it.
Well, either way, man,
I haven't done it in years.
Very good, man. Yeah, please don't.
No, I don't think we'll ever do it.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm not going to say everything was bad I got from it, but it was like...
I'm not saying you can't take away positive changes from it, but it doesn't mean...
people not to do it.
It makes you trust evil entities that are trying to give you something good.
They try to give you trust.
It's the whole thing.
Then you also can realize
they'll tell you some real good stuff.
Give you knowledge, like I said.
Dude, that's the ultimate deception. But anyway, so they get locked out. Tons of people have had this testimony. Tons of people. A specific one I call out is Zoltan Batheroy. He went on Danny Jones' podcast with Danny Goller, the other DMT guy. And he's the 5-Finger Death Punch guitarist, or one of the members.
And I know the guy Zoltan from 5-Finger Death.
That's him.
Is it him?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a friend of mine. He's going to the story.
Nice guy.
He's here in Vegas. I know him well.
Oh God. Okay, I'm not talking shit right now, Zoltan. But I am.
No, but you can say negative. It's fine. He's a friend of mine. But you can say what.
Yeah.
Review.
Nice guy. I have no issue with him as a person. But I think he's deceived by the same thing.
Yeah.
He's in the Gnostic field, and he's a big time DMT guy. He said he got locked out, and he told a story. It was like 15 minutes. Look up the clip on YouTube if you want. And he says that he got banned for, now most people are banned forever, and they try over again, don't get back. He specifically went to the effort of meditating for 4 months, he says, trying to telepathically contact these entities and ask, why did I get banned, and can I come back, and all these things, begging to come back. Wouldn't recommend it, but after 4 months of trying, he eventually gets back, and they continue they continue everything going on.
I'm having watched this.
Yeah, I mean, Zoltan, nothing but love here, bro.
No, you're not saying anything negative. You're just giving your perspective.
He's just a big example that.
And he's an extremely intelligent guy, by the way.
No, very smart.
Way more intelligent.
When I first watched it, I was in the Gnostic field, so I was like loving it. But now after I've come around, I rewatched it and I went, oh no, now I see it through a new light.
No, I'm very curious. Go on, because I'm talking about this.
So he got back. So some people say, oh, you get locked out because it's your brain receptors fried, and like when you do psychedelics too much. And I'm like, well, then why did entities kick you out? And why does this guy get back after 4 months after begging?
That's crazy.
So that it doesn't make any sense. Now, what I think is going on here is it is all about return on investment. If the Christian viewpoint is true, these demons doing this are not infinite in number. They're capable of a lot because they're hive mind, but they have only as many, like they're individual spirits still. They only have as many spirits as died in the flood of Noah's era, the flood of Noah of the pre-flood world. That's how many exist. So they are finite. We have 8 billion people on this planet. Actually, maybe 3 or 4 if you're a schizo. I don't know. It's hard to say. But there's billions of people on the planet, and for mathematical reasons I'm not going to get into, there's probably a couple 100 million of these demons. I don't think there's as many there are as humans. So they have to allocate.
Less even.
No, there's less than them of us, in my opinion. That's why they want to depopulate. That's why the elites want to.
In my opinion, I'd say by a lot. But
it's weird because the elites always talk about depopulating us to 90% of less of our population, which would be about 500 million. So I lean towards that number. But so everybody can get one body for one demon. That's just a crazy idea. But they say so they're a finite number if the biblical Christianity view is correct. That means they have to be dispersing their resources accordingly. So if you're going out hundreds of times, and they're not getting anything out of it. You're not sharing it with people. You're just doing it for fun. You're wasting a lot of their valuable resources, and you're not an asset. If you're an asset, they'll take good care of you and give you whatever you want experience-wise. That's why I don't hear any of Danny Goller's people or the people getting data promoting this stuff, like Andrew Gallimore. They're promoting and getting data, but they are not. They are assets now, so they don't get DMT lockout, even though they're doing it more than anybody. Why are they doing that?
Because they're useful to them, so they need to keep them.
Exactly. Now it fits it with the whole framework.
Wasn't given any. He's a rich guy.
But now
they're probably trying to get him to do something he wasn't doing.
Now he's talking about it on podcasts though and promoting it.
need to talk to him. Maybe I'll bring him on here and give him the counter.
I would love that.
He
Yeah.
was actually supposed to do a podcast. I forgot to hit him back up from it.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's
No. He won't be mad. He's not like that.
I thought he was
dude.
cool. I was like,
No,
he's
yeah,
got cool hair and
he's
everything.
cool.
I was.
I don't see him being angry about this. He'd be open-minded to have a discussion with.
I
him,
love
sure.
that. I love that. Well, that's my theory on it. No one's ever said that, as far as I know, that specific, because it relies on the simulation control theory, which I'm not saying I'm.
So he's back doing it again, getting high.
As far as when that clip came out, like 2 years ago, so I don't know.
A while ago.
I don't know.
What was he trying to find there? Did he say
He just
trying to?
I don't remember the details. I just remember like he loved it and he thought it was like the most important thing he could be doing.
Interesting.
I think he probably just did regular out of body work too, but I think he knew the drug would get him out and it's easier. So I meant he's doing that a lot.
Easy way to get out.
Oh, very
It's
easy.
just
Yeah.
instantly you're in another dimension.
Yeah, I just got tortured in my
There's other ways to get there, but it can be dark.
Yeah, man. So I hope that makes sense. And that is more proof, in my opinion, to the idea this is entity facilitated. If it was a power you had to develop, this drug that gets you out of your body easy would still get you out, but you're not getting out.
He was able to get back in. No, it's such a strong drug just to instantly kick you back. Man. I don't see that. You could maybe build a little tolerance, but this is like, if you have strong DMT, you're instantly just transported in like a matter of like a second or two.
Exactly. They're always hanging around waiting for you to do it, bro. But yeah, man.
It can be very terrifying. That's why I recommend people not to do it.
I had a hellish experience myself, but we don't need to get into that. It was like,
I
had flashbacks like numb, bro, but it's all good. We're on the Bible stuff now. I have so much more, but we don't.
Just real quick with Zoltan's kind of funny because I met him.
Yeah.
I was fighting. He had just started his band. I was doing well, but hadn't fought in any big shows. His band was like doing okay, but not. And then we kind of just both blew up together. So we've stayed not good friends, but pretty good friends since then. He's always been a great guy. I really need to bring him on the podcast.
Yeah,
I was
man.
thinking, I don't really do rock stars, but
ask him what he thinks about.
We actually has so many. He's so much. People don't realize like how many topics he's educated on in history.
No, he was very smart. I listened to the whole interview.
I'm curious. I'll give him another perspective on the DMT stuff. Let him.
Yeah, send him this thing and see what he thinks.
He won't be upset by it. He's not the kind of guy that'll be like.
I didn't think so. He seemed like a sweet guy, but I'm just using him because he's the most public example I've seen.
He might throw you.
And you know what? I can't take. I'm like a teenage girl with my fighting, bro. I
was surprised I trained with him. He's like actually pretty good.
Oh really?
Obviously not like my level.
He's a little. He's a little
good throws and stuff. I'm like, oh, you know how to fight.
He's a good looking guy. I like you, Zoltan. We can be friends. Okay, so we're on the Bible stuff now, and this is where I think the Bible defends what I'm saying very heavily, and I'm going to just make sure I have this ready, but I'm going to give a quick story of what I think is the main story that defends this concept, and then I'll get into like additional scripture just a little bit here and there.
You want to close with the Bible, right?
Yeah.
I just had a couple more questions. There's a bunch of questions ahead.
Oh, I will do whatever you want.
We don't have time. But we just don't have time to answer them all. It's just a couple. What was it? God damn, I had a lot of questions. I'm trying to remember what they were now.
You got a minute to think of it, but I'm going to keep blowing your mind for a minute.
Oh, just a little off topic, but a lot of schizophrenics, they'll kind of have like a God complex.
Oh, they're very prideful.
That's just random, or do you think there's any kind of like spirit world crossover?
I think all schizophrenia, not even some of it, I think all of it is demonic harassment, and it's a mixture of well, you know, you look into Jerry Marzinski work, he talks about he was one of the few people who interviewed a ton of schizophrenics, and he used to work at for like 30 years. For some of those 30 years, he worked at a asylum where the staff wouldn't let him indulge in talking to them and asking what the voices say, because they're like, don't indulge it, never. That's intentional. Now, when he worked at a prison, he got to do whatever he wanted. They didn't care.
Yeah.
So he got more data. So in this time, he starts interviewing schizophrenics and hearing them asking what the voices say and like, how do they respond to this and what are they telling you? And they were always tormenting and always negative. And when they were nice, it was to trick you. And it's like, why is your subconscious creating all these evil things and deceiving you? And what really threw something in the mix was he would start reading scripture to them and they would start freaking the hell out. Nothing else, but apparently certain scriptures would make them respond very violently. And I know demons put on an act and stuff in deliverance, but either way, that's still something worth mentioning, and it might have actually affected them. I don't know, or it's an act, but it's still like they're still responding to it in specifically scripture only very negatively and like freak out. And they'll say like, oh, I'll start stabbing you if you keep going or something like that. And he did this with tons of people and it was a constant theme. So
is he around? I'd love to talk to someone like that, because I think our official story on schizophrenia is completely off and I don't fully understand it, but
it's spiritual warfare.
We're missing big pieces.
It's a mixture of, they're open to clairvoyant sensations and downloads and information and sites that they can close off through Jesus, through healing, not through the deliverance most people do, because I have a problem with it, but through a certain means of deliverance.
They themselves sometimes think they're Jesus. That's kind of
because they are open wounds, open funnels to whatever downloads they want to give them. So there's many reasons for this, but they always Ask Brian. He made a whole list of character traits that he's seen over the years of all these schizophrenics. And we're not trying to say they're bad people, but he says they are constantly prideful.
A lot of times they're not bad people, but they get sucked into, they stop becoming themselves when it hits them. When you have a friend that gets schizophrenia, it sucks. And sometimes they get better.
Yeah, man.
They relapse. And I've had it happen to friends, and it's just terrible when they're not themselves anymore.
And people have been healed from schizophrenia. Don't act like it hadn't happened. It's happened plenty of times.
Yeah.
And I think there's false healings with, demonic deceptions where they'll give you temporary healings, but there are real healings through God. And God will utilize some false healings for his overall agenda, overall giving you a gift of that deliverance if your heart is in the truly right place and it's not prideful. Pride is the most dangerous and sneaky thing, man. And forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and letting go of pride and thinking you know everything and trusting and having true faith in God, which is eliminating fear in a lot of ways. That is the ultimate deliverance, and that's what me and Brian are going to be talking about very soon.
It's
here.
so funny when they call pride parades. When pride's one of the worst.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We don't have time to get into that, but isn't that just crazy? A pride parade,
pride and
literally
that stuff, yeah.
Sin, like.
But it's twisted into be like it's empowering. It's a good thing. It's empowering and what?
Yeah, we'll just read that because I have some other questions, but we can do another podcast sometimes because we have so many directions we could go. So why don't we read this? And we'll
man. So the Bible stuff, I'll start with the most prime example, which is 1 Kings 22. And in this story, it is basically the story of King Ahab, which is there's the north tribe of Israel, which is 10 tribes, and that's the northern tribe. And Ahab was the king at the time. He was a pagan worshiper, kind of a douchebag, problematic. And then there's the southern tribe, Judah, at the time, which is kinged by Jehoshaphat. And they're in-laws because I think their kids are married and they're hanging out. And Ahab is trying to get Jehoshaphat to agree to join forces and go to war and pillage and, ransack Ramoth Gilead and a nearby nation. And Jehoshaphat's like, I don't know if that's a great idea. What does the Lord think about this? Should we consult the prophets? And Ahab's like, fine, whatever, we'll consult the prophets. So Ahab rounds up literally 400, the number is prophets, local, who are divinationers, they're occultists, they're doing remote viewing, in my opinion, based on the information here. They are getting, so he asked these guys to prophesy what's going to happen if we go to battle. Know the future, okay? Keep in mind the data, hive mind, Borg stuff. But they all say, you're going to be very successful. And they can give you true information, but they can also give you a lie if they want to push their agenda. So it depends on the situation. Now, this one's complicated, but all 400 get a vision, or at least get a download, which I think had a vision as well, remote viewing basically, and all said, you're going to kick ass, you're going to do great, you're going to be successful, go do it. All 400. They had the same information come to them cohesively. So then you have Ahab's like, see, I told you, we'll be fine, clearly.
It's going to be easy.
And then Jehoshaphat's like, I don't know, something's like bothering me about this. We should get like one true prophet of the Lord, because even though he should have called this out as demonic, obviously, he's not the most aware probably and a little bit gullible, and he was like, but he knew something was wrong. So he asked for one true prophet of the Lord, and then Ahab's like reluctantly like, fine, whatever, I'll get Micaiah, who definitely is. He's not an occultist and by any means. He was chosen by the Lord. So he grabs Micaiah, a messenger fetches for him, and he says, hey, stick to the script. We're gonna do this thing. Don't mess it up. Say what he wants you to say. And he's like, I'm gonna tell him whatever God tells me to say. Amen. I love it. So Micaiah shows up and initially starts off sarcastically telling him what he wants to hear with an attitude. And then Ahab's like, hey, shut the hell up. Tell me the truth. And then, this is where God locks in and gives him a vision. He gets a vision for sure. And he says he sees God with his heavenly council, which is his commune of angels or whoever they may be, cherubs or whatever rank they are, and they're discussing how to deal with Ahab. He's becoming a real problem for the Israelites. And they're not going to go down and smite him, which they could, because they play within free will laws that they created, that God created. And he knows what to do. He can do whatever he wants, but he's letting his creation play it out. So he's like, what do we do, guys? Just being a cool dad. And one angel says, he raises his hand and goes, oh, what if I just go down and being a lying spirit in the mouths of these prophets? And he goes, that's a great idea. Go do it. You'll be successful. So this is an angel in this case, which it's not, it's implied that it could be on the dark side or positive and they're communing together. I don't know, but I think it's not the dark side, but it could be. And then he is saying that this vision is of God telling me that an angel came down here and hijacked and controlled all the psychic data you just got from 400 people in a way that they had no idea that you were doing this. This is in the Bible. And then he tells him this is the truth to Ahab. And he says, if you go to war, you will die. And Ahab slaps him and goes, nah, you're lying, whatever, get out of here. And he goes to war anyway. And guess what? He gets shot by a stray arrow, not even pointed right at him, just a stray arrow lands on him and kills him. That's divine. That's God. Now, people would hear this and say, oh, see, that's God deceiving someone with a fake vision. No, you got to understand something. God is ultimately in control of everything. It's not that he's doing the evil. He's letting evil play out because you allowed it. You manifested it. First of all, he gave you the truth and allowed you to come to the conclusions of the truth and before anything happened, which is the most fair way to do it. And you denied it, even though in your heart and the Holy Spirit's telling you this is true, but you went with your own desires. He gave an opportunity and he failed. Second of all, this is an angel doing it. It seems to be implied that demons can do the same thing because demons are constantly making simulations that go against the Bible constantly. And this is part of where God says in Deuteronomy 13:1-3, says, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God is testing you to whether you know to know whether you love the Lord with all your heart and all your soul. He's saying this is a test, and you wouldn't have had to even deal with the test if you just listen to my word and don't do divination. But since you did it, you opened yourself up to deception. You agreed to it, so it's fair. So there's layers there, and there's quite a few verses that talk about false dreams and visions. I have a few right here. There's Jeremiah 23:32. Sorry. Behold, I am against those who prophesy false dreams, says the Lord, and tell them and cause my people to err by their lies and by their recklessness. Yet I do not send them or command them, therefore they shall not profit this people at all, says the Lord. Ezekiel 13:6-7, which actually goes on to 6-9 to mention it more times. It says, they have envisioned futility and false divination, saying, thus says the Lord. But the Lord has not sent them, yet they hope that the word may be confirmed. Have you not seen a futile vision, and have you not spoken false divination, says the Lord? But I have not spoken. Jeremiah 14:14, and the Lord said to me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I have not sent them. They prophesy a false vision. Divination, a worthless thing, and the deceit of their heart. The deceit of their heart, your desire, so opens you up.
Trust visions.
It's also, you have Lamentations 2:14, Zechariah 10:12, Ezekiel 13:23, 21:29, 22:28. All these verses and more say false vision, futile vision, false divination. What does that mean? Okay, it's powerful enough to convince you to go after other gods.
Yeah.
So it's a powerful spiritual experience. It must be if it's making you curse and go against the God that you followed forever.
Yeah.
That means it's a spiritual experience, and that means it's powerful, okay? And it's false, and it's full of lies. And it doesn't mean there's no truth with any of it, because they will fill in some truth to mix in. But overall, it's a lie, and it's meant to make you go after other gods. What is the new, if all of these spiritual experiences are controlled visions from the demonic, they are making you go after other gods. They're not making you go after Yahweh. That's the last thing they're doing. They're actually making fake Yahwehs in their realms to make you think you defeated them and make you think he's a bitch. It's stupid. And they're doing a bad press campaign for Christianity and God in these simulations in a coordinated way for all of time, forever. Okay, if they're doing that and the Bible's telling you this will happen and I will test you because your own heart is deceiving you, because your own desires are evil and you want to be God, and this is where it leads to ultimately. That's why there's no apathy. There's no in the middle. You're either on one side or the other. And if you don't understand the seriousness of that, you're going to be deceived. So there's more verses that cover this stuff, but they say false vision, false divination so much, like 10 or 12 or 13 times. And no one talks about what that means in the tangible world, but he's warning you constantly. And I'm like, dude, there's so many warnings. This is telling you this will happen. And it doesn't say out-of-body travel, but it discusses out-of-body travel where God does it. And then it's saying, oh, but this is a vision I gave you. And guess what? They'll give you false visions.
Yeah, he says it multiple times, so obviously it's important.
Multiple times. And he says, and it's because of your own heart desiring it, you consented, you opened the door. Divination's the ultimate form. So that's the Bible talking about it. And then this is the last thing I'll get onto, and it's quick. Then I thought, and this is in the new version of the book, I didn't put this in the original, but it's on my Amazon version. I thought, okay, well, only the Bible's warning you of false created visions. And then I realized that's not true. There is other religions that teach of false created visions by spirit entities, but in what context and how is it reframing it? There is multiple examples. There is Islam's hadith says that a good dream that comes true is from Allah and a bad dream is from shaitan, which is their word for Satan. And they're literally telling you, if you have a prophetic dream and it comes true, that's good. That's from God. But what does God say in Deuteronomy? He says, no, you will get prophetic dreams. And it's because the data hive mind analysis thing, in my opinion. But he says, you will get prophetic dreams, but it is not from me. And just because it comes true, it doesn't mean anything. And that will be leading you to other gods. So this is saying, no, if you get a prophetic dream, it is God.
But
so it's actually the opposite.
There's devil. So
and they're saying also bad dreams are from the devil, which means
so that's a conflict.
Wait, so you mean that means evil is not deceptive in that way? They're just brash and villainous, and they're just in your face. No, it's Hegelian dialectic. They create fake villains to make fake heroes, and the fake heroes are these guides and ascended masters. So they're actually giving you perfect disinformation in Islam's hadith for this exact biblical concept. But they're also admitting to simulation control, right? There's another example. There's Buddhism, which teaches of Mara, the Lord of Illusion, which is an adversarial figure who fabricates visions, temptations, and illusions to obstruct meditation, alignment, and spiritual progress. So it's an evil entity, and apparently this one does it, but they can't all do it, right? Is what it's telling you. Will give you false visions to stop you from meditating, stop you from spiritual progression, which is telling you, oh, well, then I must be a good thing that I'm doing the spiritual meditation and these trying to grow my psychic abilities, which is actually what they want you to think. It's a false flag they're planting so that you think an evil entity wants me to not be enlightened in the New Age sense. So that means it must be good, so I'm going to keep doing it. It's literally a false flag. It's propaganda. There's another example. There's the Hindu texts which describe asuras, which use Maya, their word for magic, to create false visions and experiences, and they create deceptions in non-physical planes, it says, to trap or confuse the departed. What is that telling you? That's telling you the departed means people who die. Well, I guess there's no ultimate God who's sovereign in control of your location after death. I guess these entities can confuse you in admitted astral realms and create false visions to make you think of something that's not there, to guide you into a different place in the astral. But it's still allowing you to believe most of the astral's real. But there is admitted simulations in these other belief systems, which they get these ideas from the entities themselves and probably get simulations from these entities and then go, oh, well, that was fake. And then they go, yeah, it was fake, but that was Mara, the Lord of Illusion.
But this one's real.
It's damage control. So they're admitting simulation control constantly. And I didn't even get into all the examples nearly at all. I got through 15% of my chapter 4 in my book. That's what we got through today.
We're like 2 hours, 10 minutes.
But that's,
wrap.
No, that's everything.
Any last things? Was that pretty much?
Yeah.
It's funny. I asked Brian, so I don't know anything about topic. You want to help me interview him? He goes, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, man. I slapped the hell out of him. He was trying to interrupt me once, man. He's great. He's great, but I have to go cook, man, and just go crazy.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a lot.
I'm like, I didn't need any help. This last thing. Oh yeah, where can people find you? Support you.
Yes. Please support me via prayers. The most important, guys. Please pray for me and protect my soul from the demonic realm and whatever, because I'm pissing them off as I should be. You can get my book, Spirit Realm Shenanigans, an unhinged rant exposing the psychic fabrications of discarnate dweebs and Nephilim nitwits, which is funny and a little bit problematic in its comedy. You can get it on Amazon. It's not too expensive, like $21. And a hardcover we have, I just updated it with new lore, tons of stuff. It is 412 pages with a tiny font. It's a lot of information. There's a lot here, I promise you. You can get the full audiobook for free on my YouTube, which is Sethlehem_, my X, which is where I go schizo and all my theories, Sethlehem. Seth Kicklighter is my username and display name. And my link tree is in my bio on my X and my Instagram. And that link tree has all my podcast appearances, which I have a bunch. And this is part 1 material of 3, and I have more cooking. But I have part 2s and 3s out covering this deeper. And so if you want to see those, they're out there. And I have a whole reincarnation debunked.
This was just the intro.
No, this is literally the intro.
It has some things I want to get into, but I know those would take forever. So I'm like, you know what? We do it another time.
I'm busting my ass out here for you guys. Come on. But so get the book, the free audiobooks on YouTube and Spotify, the whole thing. Go to my YouTube page, find it. All my interviews are there. Listen to my other interviews. I have a ton of fun stuff. And please contact Dan Duvall for me and get us on a debate already. I'm trying to hang out with you, bro. Let's go.
Cool, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, brother. This was great.
As many of you know, I have many controversial guests, so that comes at a cost of being demonetized everywhere. So if you want to support the program, go to fightbackpodcast.com, and I have all kinds of merch on there, whether it's jiu-jitsu, fighting, political, and other accessories. And thanks for the support.